Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 189. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me in SideQuest Studios here as always, except when he's not, is BT Calloway.
Hoi hoi.
And all the way from beautiful sunny Queensland is Diana Green.
Hey, I don't have a catchy intro, but...
It took me a long time to come up with mine. So.
Yeah.
Ahoy hoy?
Yeah. I didn't have that for like the first 100 episodes.
You came up with that all by yourself?
You know I did. Reference, God, you know what I mean.
And anyway, this is the Simpsons Index. There's a podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there is a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. Thank you for joining us again on the show, Diana.
Oh, it's not a problem. I kind of missed being here, and I got a little sad when I saw it had been 3 months since I was on last.
And we're still in the 180s. It really shows how much of breaks we were taking at the end of last year.
We needed them.
Yeah.
Oh my.
But yeah, returning guest, curious, have you been catching up on Simpsons between now and when we were last when you were last on the show?
I try to avoid new episodes, and before I was on the show last, I did like a complete rewatch up until I think like season 14 or so, and I guess I also used to like binge watch right before Simpsons trivia, and with COVID going on, you know.
Oh, yeah. Trivia
hasn't been too common, so I guess I've had no reason to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when it comes back, you know, we should have studied up. But yeah, I guess everyone's going to be in the same boat, right?
That's okay. I'll come down to Sydney and beat you guys at Simpsons trivia.
Oh, was that the sound of a gauntlet being thrown? Sounds like a pig fainting.
Game on. Well, until you challenge us at trivia, we'll do a podcast in the meantime where we're reviewing Season 20, Episode 11, How the Test Was Won. First released in March of '09, it was directed by Lance Kramer, written by Michael Price. In this episode, there's a big school test, and Superintendent Chalmers ships off the bullies Bart and Ralph and Principal Skinner to be distracted, and Lisa's got test anxiety, and also Homer's uninsured. Hey, y'all, what did we think?
Oh boy, this one's tough. It's not just lazy and incompetent. It's also, it's not that it's even confident in its incompetence. It's a tough one for me to really put a finger on, but it's a middle finger, I'll tell you that much.
I feel like it got progressively better as time went on, but it started from such a low point. You know, that doesn't really mean much. There were like 4 jokes in the episode, and they were at the very end. And they still weren't particularly good, but the first, 5 to 10 minutes was so insulting.
Yeah.
They even did like the whole "it's not a clip show" thing at the beginning, which they'd already done the whole "it's not a clip show" thing. Like they'd done that like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, the clip show bit. I thought it was a good enough bit. It just went on way too long, and I feel like having the footage of the Homers from the Treehouse of Horror really undercut it, and then it ending with a fucking nuclear mushroom cloud was really just...
Remember how wacky this show can get? Also, here's some Halloween stuff. Also, nothing matters. Also, I think I've got the word to describe this episode now. I may change it later. Who knows? We'll find out. This episode is just entirely bankrupt, as in it feels like it was put together on no budget whatsoever. They're all like, so many jokes are padded, and this is a great example of one. That montage of Homer getting hurt was on for so long, I could write down, is this a clip show? Wow, this is long. Like, really long. Is this and then I got halfway through the Halloween episode note and it ended.
Yeah.
But that is how long that was going on for. This was me leaving generous spaces in between, of which I could be like, no, really, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that whole clip show was the writer's way of saying this is the canonical sequel to the Treehouse of Horror with the clones. This takes place in the Halloween timeline, and this is what that clone at the end of the episode does afterwards.
Yeah, it would explain how Homer can be hurt that much and still living. They're all just clones.
And how we can will a bruise out of existence.
And as we know from that future Jump episode, Homer's been cloned a bunch of times anyway by Frank.
Oh, yeah.
So, fuck that episode forever.
And just like a Halloween episode, this had about 7 minutes of material. They just stretched it out a lot.
Yeah, because we also get, like, the long couch gag as well. And I'm pretty sure we've talked about this particular couch gag where they go through, like, the classic TV sitcoms. And it's kind of interesting because, WandaVision's out at the moment. And, WandaVision kind of stole their idea off this, I guess.
Simpsons did it.
Simpsons did it.
During the opening couch gag, first of all, it's unrealistic because during the honeymooners thing, Homer wasn't threatening to beat Marge. Yep. So
no trips to the moon whatsoever.
It is really depressing. It shows all these TV shows of like the 50s, 60s, etc. And then the one right before The Simpsons is Cheers.
Yeah.
That's just how long the show's been going on.
Yeah.
Really puts it in the perspective.
Yeah, Cheers would have been like the biggest show before The Simpsons started.
Mm-hmm.
And they just skipped over everybody else.
Yeah, because after Cheers, Seinfeld sort of took over that sitcom
and then
landscape.
after that was Frasier.
Yeah. So with the Cheers, it's worth pointing out that it's kind of clever that they put Sideshow Bob in there, but
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the rest of the couch gag is just like references.
And it would have been fine. It would have been like a warm nostalgia hug if I knew this wasn't padding.
Yeah. Yeah, that I know we've seen it being used in a couple of other episodes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just go, okay,
so, yeah,
short episode.
Now it's an ill omen of, we didn't have enough.
All right, well, let's hook into the episode proper. Diana, we'll start with you. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
This episode, like Lisa's story kind of gave me back depressing memories of school tests that I tried to block out. So it kind of spoke to me, and I don't want it to, but I guess it just brought back so many memories I don't like.
Yeah, like, I think the test stuff did some interesting things, especially from Lisa's perspective and the anxiety that comes along with it. But my problem with it is that it's built on the foundation that in the first act, the kids were being fed the exact answers, and then it becomes like a regular test.
Yeah. So where Lisa doesn't know the answers, even though they've literally been fed the answer codes.
Wasn't it only Mrs. Krabappel's class that cheated?
Well, I mean,
they had Largo teaching the answers through a song, and Lunch Lady Doris.
She wasn't there during that, just her bully from season 12.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a weird reoccurrence of Sophie. True. It's like when they chuck in Allison in the background just to sort of pad out the kids, yeah.
I mean, fair enough, she would still be there.
Few girl characters in the show, and half of them have been guest characters.
Yeah, and it was a weird perspective thing, because Sophie's was always meant to be a bit taller, and she was brought down to size.
Wait, Sophie isn't Lisa's bully.
Yeah.
No, Sophie is Krusty's kid. Francine is Lisa's bully.
Francine,
They do look very similar.
The other season 12 girl that never really returns except as a silent.
If we're going to win this trivia contest, I need your A game.
I didn't want to help them because that way I can win.
Damn you. Yeah, so foundationally speaking, this first act starts out with a series of classrooms and Lunch Lady Doris and whatever feeding the kids the answers, and then at the point where Lisa was skipping and so happy it was test day, that was when I was like, wait a minute, why would she be happy about this? The kids were being fed the answers. Shouldn't she be a bit more...
Well, you see, Elliot, because they had absolutely no time because we had to spend about 6 minutes on Homer getting hurt, they missed out the scene where Lisa was insulted by the idea of being fed the answers, and so avoided, going to those classes and just studied on her own. Confident she'd be able to handle this, but when it came to test day, she cracked under pressure. See, that's called a plot line, and that's what this episode doesn't have.
Well, how about you then, BT? What stood out to you for better or worse?
Best part of this episode is Ralph singing the Spice Girls. As we like to have a lot of times just parts of songs you can loop forever. I'm not going to do any because we'll loop forever.
I saw the sign.
Fine, psycho killer, fa 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 fa. But yeah, he's just singing "Tell You What You Want, What I Really Want to Tell You What You Want, Really Want" over and over and over while peeing. It's really funny.
The weird thing is, if this came out in 2009 and Ralph is 8, that song is before his time. And I like to imagine the writers were so out of touch they thought that was a topical reference.
Well, I think the Spice Girls do have a timeless quality to them.
Yeah, apparently the first second of that song is now famously the most recognizable second of music in the world. Yo!
Yeah, one of those songs that, within the first microsecond you know what's happening, and you're like, oh yeah, we're in for a banger.
We're in for some girl power, Elliot. Embrace it.
Yes. Were you a fan of the Spice Girls growing up, Diana?
Not really. When I was growing up, the only music I really listened to was whatever my mum played in the radio, which was all easy listening. And I grew up on music way before my time. I remember when I was 10 or 11, the newest music I knew was Billy Joel.
Again, timeless.
Yeah, no, it's good, but it's all the kids at school will be talking about, this music, and they'll be saying, I don't know what that is.
You'd be singing Uptown Girl.
I didn't even know like the Backstreet Boys music. I knew they existed, but I didn't even know about that music, which would have been a part of my childhood if I had a normal upbringing. The only time I knew the Spice Girls was when they played in the episode where Homer was a trucker.
Oh, yeah. Wow,
they
Spice Girls.
return to this well surprisingly often.
Yeah, Spice Girls playlist in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting way off topic if we're talking on the Spice Girls. So what stands out to me from this episode? Oh, fuck. Well, yeah, I already mentioned the sort of half-baked premise. So, yeah, I guess we talk about Homer's little B story here.
I mean, legally, yes.
Well, I guess it ties into the wackiness. So let's just get through the question before that, which is the play count question. BT, have you seen this episode?
No.
How about you, Diana?
Yeah, I don't know how many, but I'd say at least a dozen times because I owned season 20 on DVD back in the day, and what I used to do was I used to play World of Warcraft while watching DVDs in the background. So, like, I can just remember these episodes. Like, there was a point in time before I repressed it all that I could remember all these episodes line for line because I was half paying attention, which is the best kind of paying attention for this episode.
No, I mean, I was the same, because they fast-tracked season 20 to DVD. So, yeah, I ate it all up because, I didn't know how to BitTorrent at that time.
Laserdisc is where it's at, man.
Sure.
It just come off LimeWire, so, DVDs were a bit safer.
LinkinPark.exe. What could go wrong?
Yep.
So did you get back into WoW when they released that WoW Classic or whatever?
So the last time I ever played WoW was when the Cataclysm expansion came out, and I bought it, and I played it for about 2 days before my computer died, and it took me about another year to get a computer, so I was not able to play, and I guess I didn't have the motivation to get addicted again.
You were not wowed.
No, I wasn't, and that was a bad time for my computer to break because that was when I was like in grade 12, and I had to write up all my typed assignments on an iPad with no keyboard.
Oh, shit.
No.
Yeah, that was painful.
Yeah.
Resourceful, but goddamn.
Yeah, and made PowerPoints on that, and that is not a good tool to make PowerPoints on.
Yeah, because Jordan, regular podcaster guest, we've lost him to WoW. And Jordan, if you're listening out there, we love you, buddy.
Come back to us.
I've been addicted to Hitman 3 lately, and according to, I hate to say Epic Game Store, but I have to, it's exclusive there. It says I have played for 8 days, 11 hours, 27 minutes, and the game's been out for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Holy shit, nice.
But I also have like almost 2,000 hours between the last two games, so I don't really play other games.
Clearly not.
And your YouTube channel, you've been uploading
Too many.
lots of clips. Yeah. So check that out. Plug your YouTube channel.
I'll plug it at the end.
Where we put the plugs.
Good call.
People skip your podcast and get straight to the plugging bit.
They love the plugs. They just want a show that's just plugs.
I mean, don't tempt me. We'll make that.
Plugs and plugs. We plug our shit and we also review plugs.
Plug.
The wackiness of this episode. So, I feel like Homer's insurance storyline, I feel like it was a good premise, but then it just devolved into a series of wacky bullshit.
Well, no, it's not even wacky bullshit. It is eventually, but it's him imagining like the dangers around him and reacting to them in increasingly wacky ways. But then it's over. No lessons learned, no triumphs overcome. It's all just
The worst part of Homer's plot is the whole scene where he's imagining what can happen at the book club.
Yeah.
And I am sure you, just like me, Elliot, watched this episode when it was new on Channel 10. And all the ads leading up to it were like, Marge has a lesbian kiss moment. Don't miss the new Simpsons.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, that is what I remember this episode for the most because, like, I saw that every time I was on Channel 10 back in the day.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Gross and stupid. Damn you early aughts for thinking lesbian kisses on TV would draw crowds. Yes, it did, but that's not the point.
But this can also go on the lesbian kiss playlist with the Lady Gaga episode.
Ugh.
So, it's around this early 20s time, isn't it, where they're like, how can we get Marge to kiss women? And, like, it's...
I mean, it's easy if it's Lady Gaga. Just do it without her consent.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, she's actively resisting. That'll be hot.
Fuck Lisa Goes Gaga.
I hate that episode.
Yeah, I feel like there were several fantasy moments, especially with Homer and Marge kissing women. And, it's just this gross way for The Simpsons to make it happen, and because it being so inconsequential, it makes it feel that much worse.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done to a humorous degree. I can't remember which episode it was, but there's one where he's having a fantasy, and then it ends up with Marge and this other woman beating the crap out of Homer.
Yeah.
And he's like, little do they know, that's my thing.
Yeah.
So that actually got a good chuckle out of me. So there's a way to do it, but yeah, the idea that they plugged it as like a selling point, yeah, that feels gross.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was advertised. That sucks.
It just stuck with me because like all the people at school would talk about it, and this must have been like the second, third, or very early episode that was HD. This is like halfway through season 20, I think, and the first half was standard. So this is when there was kind of people were getting back into the show just to see the HD visuals, which I know sounds depressing, but that's what all the kids at school were saying. Like, I even remember at school, someone was like, I don't care about The Simpsons, it sucks. And this guy was like, no, it's HD now, you don't understand. So
what a selling point.
Those people exist? What the hell?
You have to understand this is, people that were teenagers in this time period, and teenagers don't have good opinions.
That's true.
These are the same people like 8 years early were talking about how Scary Movie 3 is like the best film ever. So
a new high for the franchise. Emphasis on high. But you're right. Yeah, this was the second HD episode to be produced. Yeah.
Less wacky than the first one, which had Homer look at an alternate life by looking at tomato soup or something.
The fucking crystal ball tomato sauce.
Shit, I forgot about that one.
We recorded that episode in the dank. That was a long time ago.
That was dank days then, yeah.
Dank days. But yeah, so the stuff with the book club as well, like he has that fantasy sequence at the start of the book club that's like obviously wacky, obviously a fantasy. But then I don't feel like the second one was like that realistic either. So then you're kind of wondering, are they doing this again?
Like when he has the wacky fantasy of everyone getting hurt and everything going wrong, which includes them having a full suit of armor in the house for some reason, the then follow-up of the actual things that go wrong are equally too wacky.
Yeah, and Mr. Burns at the end, who just happens to be walking by the Simpsons house.
Yeah, oh, God. And then, so he accidentally stabs Mr. Burns in the head with a cheese knife, and then so he pulls the knife out and then plugs the bleed with his finger, and then it starts bleeding out Mr. Burns' ear, so he plugs that, so it bleeds out his nose. So he puts his mouth on Mr. Burns' nose, and it starts coming out of Homer's ear, and it's just like, do you people know what fucking comedy is?
Clearly not, because right when Mr. Burns got hit, he yelled out Apache. Which is...
Why?
Yeah, I was so confused by that, I don't even know what to think of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought there might have been a weak pun there with a pat cheese, but there weren't any cheese involved. I don't know.
Like, maybe this is a reference to something? I have no idea. I'm lost.
Yeah. So how about the wackiness of the ending? Diana, how do you think that played out with Ralph and the garbage barge and Skinner using the power of teaching?
I will say when Skinner used the slingshot and it knocked that guy out, I kind of thought that was funny.
No, I think that was our one audible laugh for the episode.
Yeah, loads of message into Bart's slingshot, fires it at the crane operator, which accidentally knocks him out.
Like, I liked that. That's why I said the show gets better as it goes on, because I think there were like 2 jokes at the end as opposed to 0. And while, I'm not one of those people that laughs at haha Ralph is dumb jokes, but I did like when Skinner says run, and he just runs in a circle, takes it literally. I kind of like that. I didn't like that Skinner did the same thing and they said spazzing out, which in America, especially at the time, wasn't considered a bad thing. But
well, there's
I think it's more offensive in Australia and England.
Mostly England, because
England especially, because they had to censor Mario Party 8 for using a word like that.
Mario Party 8 censored. It's just, what a sentence.
Yep.
They had to, because in one of the boards, I think it was Kamek, used the word starting with S that rhymes with plastic. And that wasn't a big deal in America, and they had to censor it. So for Americans, they don't realize it's a bad word, but here it is.
But I thought that was kind of a satisfying way to end the story with Skinner doing, practical teaching, even though he was definitely like one of the ones that was enforcing that this is how you fill out the test correctly.
Yep.
And then it becomes about practical learning is better than tests. So, like, it's not good story-wise, but I do like the practical application. I thought the visuals were great in that section. I thought him spinning around and doing the, what did he call it? Angular momentum. That looks really good. And
I even like the button where he drops a piano into the orphanage for talented children, musically talented children. And they're like, yay! And start playing.
One of the other 3 jokes I had
Yeah, the part I did, well, just speaking on this conclusion there, Elliot, this is a rare episode in the sense that it has a fuck you middle and a fuck you ending, because the conclusion to both Bart's and Lisa's storyline is Skinner going back and going, I've learned that teaching children the practical way is the way to do it, so we're going to drop this test. And it's like, that wasn't your option. This was a government-mandated test that you had to do. That's why you were drilling it into the children's skulls. Walking in and saying, we're not going to do this because I've decided let's all dance is dumb as shit, and I hated it so much.
And it went on for fucking ever.
Hey kids, remember Footloose? You probably do. The reboot would have come out around sometime around here. Well, enjoy that, you fuckwads.
Yeah, Diana, what were you saying about modern references?
I think all the kids in 09 grew up on 80s movies and know them like the back of their hands.
But to spend that long just watching characters dance is...
Yeah, Footloose from 1984.
What about the remake?
I
think it's 2009, maybe 2011.
2011.
Hey, go my knowledge of garbage.
You're going to win big at garbage trivia.
Woohoo!
So how about on the other side of the wackiness, the emotional core of this episode? How do we think they handled the heart?
Lisa has anxiety over, the pressure of tests, and that gets resolved by, you don't have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
The end. So there you go, kids. Any problem you have in life, someone will just take care of it by walking in and saying, we'll just cancel this. It's not a problem anymore.
And everybody dance!
Yep. And I would have enjoyed if there was like a subversion to that, but I didn't overcome my problem. Shut up, Lisa, dancing. That would have been, something, but it's just like, nope, this is a fair conclusion. Goodbye.
And then she's sitting on the test, wiggling her legs and reading a Sylvia Plath book.
Because Lisa's smart.
I don't know.
I think they tried to have heart at the end when Marge and Homer kissed, but it doesn't really amount to anything because the whole plot was stupid.
Yeah, and it was an attempt at a subversion where Homer's like, are you mad that I didn't file this insurance? And she's all, I should have realized by this point you suck at everything and I shouldn't have relied on you to mail an envelope.
This will actually come up a bit later with the classic episode that I picked. This is a fucked up ending. Like it
is, but at least I think it knows it's a fucked up ending, so at least they're trying to lean into that. I don't think it worked entirely because you're mostly just like, yeah. But it's not the fun kind of subversion where it's, it's just a bunch of stuff that happened. It's more like, okay, you're kind of copping out here, guys, but fine.
No, this is like one of those moments where I'm like, no, Marge, leave, go. Like, oh, my heart hurts for her in that moment.
That thesaurus he got really paid off.
Definitely. Well, yeah, look, that's such little heart to talk about. But what about the integrity? Did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Are the characters behaving like themselves?
It felt like several episodes of The Simpsons because the kids were abducted by Skinner like in Whacking Day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I even said when Lisa was getting annoyed at Bart for not studying for the test, it reminded me of when they got the satellite TV and Bart just kept watching shows. One deliberate reference that isn't insulting was they said that Skinner paints houses in the summertime, and they referenced that in season 12 in the Christmas episode where they're trapped in the school.
Yep.
They say he must be a billionaire because he has 2 jobs. But it felt like a lot of episodes without the heart, but it ripped out the spine, I guess is the best way to put it.
Fatality. So it was sort of interesting now that you mentioned, like, the focus on the bullies and Bart in this, like, now I'm thinking about it, they didn't get really much to do in the middle, and the bullies like not realizing what this is until the bus is into its journey.
Yeah. Again, at its core, that's a pretty good idea for an episode. Like, Skinner tricks all these guys, but then he ends up having to chaperone them through the city, and they've lost the bus, and they have to try and make their way back, and he has to try and contain them. That's an interesting concept, but it's just doesn't matter here. Nothing matters.
No, and the repeated joke of Bart and the bullies going, let's act dumb now.
Yeah.
It's just...
Oh, God.
Well, I'm glad Nancy Cartwright got to do the stupid voice instead of Dan Castellaneta.
That's right. Dan's just peeking over. So, aw. Now Dan, everyone gets a turn at doing stupid voice. I want to.
Well, not Marge. I don't think her voice can actually handle it anymore.
Nah, true. But yeah, I guess the integrity from character to character isn't so off. It's just that I think the show here has got a real logical streak.
It's the structure of it that, like, I wrote down at one point, there are 3 plots and I don't care about a single one of them because none of them are developing.
Yeah. Yeah, wow, so many of these questions are cut and dry today, so I'm assuming this one will be too. Yes or no, would you watch this one again?
No.
There are worse episodes, but there are also like 400 better ones, so...
Definitely. I do not want to seek this out again, so let's try and fix this up. BT, we'll start with you. How would you like to change this episode?
Oh, man. Jeez. You can probably cut one of your plot lines. I don't want to cut the police one, but it's the one with the least amount of material. That said, it probably had some of the better jokes in it. Fine. If we're not assuming we're doing that, let's assume you just gouge out all that excess padding so you've got more runtime to work on your actual episode. Like I said, the idea of Skinner lost in the city with these bullies is interesting, and he could definitely teach them various things as he's going through, rather than just one thing at the end when he's running around in a shipping container.
Yeah.
There's an idea there, and there's probably the strongest concept. Leave your Homer story as wacky, just make that different in some way, and it just a lot needs to change there. And Lisa's have something about why, if everyone got the same answers drilled into their heads, why didn't she? Maybe it was because she was so overconfident and then starting to feel the pressure under the weight of her own supposed genius. But again, we see her try 2 questions in what has to be like an hour-long test. It's like, keep going, we know. And just if there was a bit where suddenly the words just seem like jumbled nonsense to her and that anxiety is cracking through, there's something to be said about that. That's a good idea of having your brightest student crack under pressure, because that's what happens when you put pressure on people. There's a lot you could pull out of this, and I think that's why it's so hard to talk about what I want to fix, because I want to fix a lot. And there's a lot of different directions you could go. So a lot is my answer, Elliot.
How about you, Diana? What would you like to change?
I would cut out Homer's entire plot. I feel like the core of this episode is the test, and you can have, half of it be Bart, half be Lisa, but, there's not really more material you could get out of, Lisa not answering a test either. So I see why they have 3 plots, just they did, 3 bad ones. Considering the only jokes that were good were at the very end with the whole barge situation in Bart's story, they probably could have done a lot more with that. Speaking of which, there was one other joke I kind of liked, which was just that the garbage barge shows up at Springfield Elementary like it's normal.
Yeah. Next up, Springfield Elementary.
Yeah, I like that. I did not like Willie just standing on the pier being like, it's everyone back again. My bullies and the Cowabunga kid. Like, what?
They could have just do more with, Bart and Skinner, but there's not really, I don't know how much more material you can get out of this. They should have just put in 3 or 4 more clip show segments to stretch out the runtime.
Oh, wow. First time we've had suggested make another clip show. Yeah, and look, what I'd like to... I agree with you guys about sort of the test. I reckon, especially now that I'm recontextualizing it as, the second episode that they're produced in HD, it's kind of surprising they didn't do more with the visuals on Lisa's anxiety.
Yeah.
And, the weird bit of the squeaky-voiced teen just pogoing in the school playground, it does make you wonder why. I like the bit with Milhouse's eyebrows and sort of the exaggerated sound effects.
I get the idea. You go through the exaggerated sound effects of the clock ticking and the pencil scratching and, Milhouse's eyebrows. And then you have something, it's like, why is that even happening? Oh, well, it's causing a noise. For some reason, pogoing Squeaky Voice Team wasn't wacky enough for it to feel like a joke. It felt like a reference or something that was happening outside of the plot. And it was just like, oh, okay, instead of like a pah.
Yeah.
And what they were going for was pah.
But yeah, and again, on the point of this episode, having good premises and just doing absolute beige with them, I think there's something about Homer finally being paranoid about being injured.
Yeah.
And also not wanting harm to come to others and trying to bubble wrap everything. I think that's kind of an easy win for them. And that they
did so little with it.
Yeah. And the book club stuff, that is rife for, low stakes injuries, paper cuts,
they can hurt.
Dropping a book on your toe.
That really hurts.
I don't know, Marge saying this week, we're going to read War and Peace. And he's like, no, smaller. All right, we're here. Diana, do you have any other notes?
Yeah, you were saying there weren't really many visual things. And one visual thing I did actually notice is in that whole barge segment at the end, they had a 3D computer metal shipping container. And it kind of brought back Futurama vibes where they would occasionally do 3D with a ship.
Yeah, that was very lovely produced, yeah.
The only minutes of this episode that could possibly be considered good were right then. I think they just made that one segment. It was meant to be a 5-minute short, and then they had to write an extra 17 minutes of material. So I was watching this episode with my fiance, who was American, and when they were in Capital City, they made a pretty racist joke, which may not translate well to some Australians.
The bit where they're like, what is it, the corner of Cesar Chavez and Martin Luther King Boulevard? Yeah, they hold on it and we're like...
And Bart does an eye carumba.
Yeah, what the hell was this?
A lot of poorer areas in America that have, more people of color because of gentrification and... I'm not going to talk about economics here. You can go to the economic index. But a lot of the areas that are more underfunded and shat on kind of get street names of, people of color like that. But I'm sure you can research it better than I can explain it.
Getting the gist of it, yeah.
But yeah, the joke is essentially, this is a poor area that would probably have, people of color. This is dangerous.
Yeah, and the whole Otto's bus being put on bricks and stuff, it's all playing into those.
He was also taking drugs, and as we all know, that makes him think he's flying.
Yeah, the sketch show nature of The Simpsons in these later episodes, and just, here's Otto, so let's do a drug bit. Infuriating. How about you, BT? Any other notes?
There's a weird as hell bit where they're all like, we've changed all the kindergartens from being named after flowers to being named after barn animals, except for Mr. Jefferson, who insisted he stay flowers. And they're like, yeah, go daffodils. And the kill's like, dills. Like, why are we stopping to do this bit that makes no sense? And I don't, what the fuck?
Thought they were really big fans of the later Rugrats episodes, so they introduced it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. They're supposedly shortening daffodil. I don't know. God, this is weird.
Responsitively. Fuck, I love the Rugrats. Anyway.
I do like that earlier on. Well, I mean, it's one of those ones where I like the callback more than the original line where Bart calls school a suck shack and they said, I learned it at school. But then Chalmers uses the term. It's like, so that's where he learned it. I kind of like that reference. And in fact, they don't grind to a halt and mention it as well. There's a line here that says, great jokes make me hungry, so I am not even remotely peckish. They call Springfield the armpit of America's butt crack.
Good sign joke there.
Always with the sign jokes. Always good.
Did you see the sign gag with Capital City at all?
Yeah, the creators of Capital Punishment.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, it feels like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, but it's better than a clip show.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe.
They should have just put a GIF on the sign that showed Homer getting hurt.
Now to just move into Jordan's Inner Corner.
Ooh, with special guest introduction by Michael Buffer.
Homer's just mails the bill they got just back to the insurance company.
Yeah, I thought this didn't make sense.
It doesn't. He just gives it. It's like, no, you meant to pay it. You don't just send it back. That's damn weird.
I think they thought going to stop daughter's wedding, be back at 3 was the joke. Whereas, I think just a quick bit of bureaucratic interaction where just someone says to him, you're not insured for the next 2 hours would have been fine.
Yeah, it would have been, more of that bureaucratic red tape. That's kind of funny. Chalmers sounds really weird during his freak out. I guess that voice was never meant to shout other than scaring her. But it just really sounded weird.
I hated all his material and the whole... pretend each answer is a little chick that will die. It's like, no one would think that'd help.
You're trying to push so much pressure on the students. The idea that pressure on the students then isn't the point of the episode. Just, why are we doing this? Why anything? Fuck everything. And that is actually on my notes. So, Elliot, back to you.
Yeah, I only had one more. Bombardment guy has been what's the word I'm looking for?
Shows up a lot?
Yeah, shows up too much. But some people love him, some people hate him. He's really divisive. There we go.
You should hate him. That's all you need. You shouldn't have a second opinion. Just hate him.
Okay, so that's your answer, Diana.
I don't agree with that answer.
You like Bombardment Guy?
No, but I just want to be divisive.
Ah.
I think they overuse him, but occasionally he's all right.
Yeah, and again, if this was the part of the episode where it was like pressure to learn, negative reinforcement and stuff, but this is the part of the episode where they're pretending that they're feeding the answers, so it's... Yeah, it didn't work for me, and I just hate his whole yelly routine.
Speaking of really bad late edition characters, you would probably know this better than me because you actually remember HD episodes. I think Skinner said that he bought wrapping paper from Chalmers' daughter. Was this before Shauna was introduced?
Oh, I think Shauna would have been introduced by this point. I don't think they established
Shauna.
I don't think they established that she was Chalmers' daughter yet, but...
Editing by Elliot Jay here to say that Shauna was first introduced as a character in about 6 episodes' time in The Good, the Sad and the Drugly, and it was established she is Chalmers' daughter in the season 25 episode, What to Expect When Bart's Expecting. Alright, back to the show.
All right, well, it is time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we'll rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just, you give it a participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold. But for the best of the very best, the episodes which the Simpsons could not exist without, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. I'm actually failing this one. I'm kind of surprised because it has an oeuvre of participant, but the illogical leaps that this episode makes to get to where it's going is just, that's the real unsatisfying part to me, which really irks me about it. And yeah, we've mentioned it already. The illogical plot, the whole fucking fantasy sequence cop-outs, and then what's real is shit, and then Footloose ending. Fucking Footloose ending. So I'm failing it. BT.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that exact sentiment in the sense that I went through almost all of this going, participant, fine, whatever. And then just this quality of just not only not trying, but not caring that they're not trying, in the sense that even the world they've built isn't cohesive in this boring episode.
It didn't even try. Yeah,
it's just flat. It went from flat to irritating, and that's kind of what drove me into the pit of failure. So to hell with it.
And Diana, finish it off.
I really hate being the nice judge because I complain about Modern Simpsons so much, and I have hated some of your opinions about what episodes belong.
We're as divisive as Bombardment Guy.
Yeah, but I would go participant because there were a couple of jokes. If when you watch a piece of shit, you remember the ending the most, and they put the most jokes at the ending, and even though they ruined it with Footloose, it didn't ruin it enough to make it a failure. So I've already blocked out, the clip show, the unfunny plot, everything, and it ended on as good a note as it could have, which still isn't good, but I'd say participant.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to put a little caveat on the end of mine of saying if someone went participant, I would 100% understand, because it's not that there's anything egregious in this one. It just irritated me at a certain point.
I'd give the Channel 10 marketing back in 2009 a failure, but...
Definitely. Oh, God, so gross. I can't believe they did that. All right, well, yeah, averaging out, that'll be a shiny failure. This will be the first episode from Season 20 to get that ranking. But before we move on, we must ask, is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified? Is it?
Steve Heisler of the AV Club.
I got nothing for him. Heisler?
Heislerberg, he makes meth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can workshop it, think of something good.
Yeah, the blue boy Steve Heisler. He wrote, I'm sorry, but how the test was won was about as low as things get these days. The worst of the season by far, and quite possibly one of the worst episodes I've watched in this brave new era of the Yellow People.
Weird ending to that sentence.
He gave this episode a C-. This is roughly where we went with it, yeah.
All right.
And Eric Asperschlager of TV Verdict.
Oh, come on. Ash, what am I supposed to do with that? Oh,
something offensive, I bet.
Pour me a nice glass of Asperschlager. That's the best I got.
And he says, despite 3 strong setups and a great first act, the episode barely got off the ground, crash landing long before its what the heck Footloose finale. There might have been enough time for Homer hilarity if they hadn't dedicated so much time to the meandering and ultimately boring story of Skinner trying to keep his dull charges safe after they get stranded in Capital City.
I feel like everything he said was wrong. The first act was the worst. That's where the clip show was. Homer's plot was the worst overall part of the episode, and the Skinner stuff was the closest to good it got.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one, yeah.
The important thing is we got to the ending of hating it altogether.
And Robert Canning of IGN.
Anything for him?
Yes!
Canning. I've forgotten everything. It's
IGN.
Been so long. Oh, yeah, the feather touch.
Yeah, there we go.
It's been so long since we've done these.
Yeah, well, he gave it an 8.8 out of 10.
God damn it, come on!
The feather touch called it a smart, very funny half hour. He praised the couch gag and Homer's subplot, but adding that the ending didn't quite live up to what preceded it. The episode was named Best of the Season by IGN.
Get fucked.
The best of Season 20, which...
Fine. Okay, to be fair, that might be true. I don't know what else was in 20.
Season 20 has some possible bronzes.
Come on, at 8.8. Are you Sorry, I'm stunned. Like usually,
8.8 out of 10.
like a 7 would have been soft.
8 is great on IGN scale.
All right, I'm going to throw this down. He doesn't watch these. IGN, you need to fire this guy. He's lying.
He has not written reviews for him for a very long time.
Well, that's why they found out he was another one of their reviewers who was clearly just faking it and got away with it forever. Quietly fired him.
I was going to say, he can do a podcast where he reviews all your podcasts.
Bring it.
It's on Feather Touch.
Yeah, your scale better go up higher than 10 then, because if this is what he gives an 8.8.
Yeah, well, some of our more positive episodes, like our highest ranking HD era episode, The Good, the Sad, and the Trugly, is in this season. And yeah, also Any Teeny Maya Mo, Gone Maggie Gone, No Loan Again, where Flanders owns.
Yeah.
Like, there's some okay episodes in this season, and this is not one of them.
I would say, like, one of the only episodes that's good is the first one, the one where Homer and Flanders are bounty hunters.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Sex Pies and Idiot Scrapes. We had a lot of fun with that one.
That's right. They're all parkouring, and then he's in the elevator still parkouring about. Yeah, I remember that.
No, yeah, you're right, Diana. That was a great time. All right, let's move on to the teens era. Now, Diana, you asked for this one last time, and I am giving it to you. Do you know what episode I'm talking about?
I do. I just want to see how good BT's memory is, if he can remember one line I said months ago.
Haha, not a chance.
Oh, you're going to suck at trivia about me specifically.
I mean, give me time to research. I'll be all over
It is one of the only 2 good episodes in season 10, and I said that. It is the one where Bart shoots an animal that flies.
That's right. We are going to watch season 10's Bart the Mother, and we will be back.
Yeah, I can watch a good episode, and I can eat my chicken that arrived as we did that. I'm going to be eating a chicken probably right as the bullet goes through the neck of the bird. That's good.
Favor the moment.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sad bird. Nom, 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 nom. And we are back, and we just watched a Teens Era episode. This was Season 10, Episode 3, Bart the Mother. First released in September of 1998, it was directed by Stephen Dean Moore, written by David X. Cohen.
You can't do that anymore. I know we've burned all our John Schwartzwelters.
We're getting close, but yeah, this one surprised me that it was acclaimed Futurama executive producer David X. Cohen. Anyway, but I think in this one he was credited as David S. Cohen. I'm a nerd. In this episode, as we said before, this is the one where Bart shoots the bird and ends up taking care of the eggs, which turn out to be lizards. Hey, what did we think?
Delightful.
It was good.
And Diana, requested this episode. Glad to bring it to you today. Does this hold up?
It does. I was a bit worried because the first couple minutes aren't the funniest, but it really does pick up.
Yeah, it's sort of a lofty premise which they build it on, but then they do such exquisite storytelling points that I'm surprised it's a season 10 episode at moments.
I was watching with my fiance who, like I said, I think I said it in the recording earlier, we did a linear rewatch of the entire series, and I think we got to about season 14 before, we went on a hiatus.
You had to.
I'm still waiting to, get to season 30, but I just got a shaking head as I said that. During that, I was hearing comments like, there are a lot of good jokes for a season 10 episode, or I guess especially coming after season 20. And it's weird to think that's only 10 years apart, because 10 years after that was season 30.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is doing what I love in a lot of classic Simpsons episode. You're telling a basic story, just really grounded, and then you're peppering it with a lot of these sort of wackier moments.
But they feel earned. You built to them.
No, definitely. All right, well, let's hook in. I'm very excited. BT, we'll start with you this time. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
I'm tempted because I've got kind of 2 here, so try and stop me. The main one is going to be...
Can't reach.
Yeah, I know. Ha ha ha. Just a bit with Bart aiming at the bird and then, goes a little bit to the right and fires and he just hits it anyway. It's weird to laugh at a bird getting shot, but it's the fact that it's just such a surprise, and then just the crooked sight follow-up is really funny.
So apparently this was based on one of the other Simpsons staffers, Ron Haig. He brought this element of the story because when he was a kid, he aimed at a bird with a slingshot and he thought the bird was like way too far away to even get. But yeah, pretty well exactly as this happened. He nailed the bird. His friends were all really excited and stoked for him. And he said, yeah, inside I was dying.
Yeah, well, I like the, visual here of Bart just slowly dropping the gun and the kind of, daunting realization.
As Nelson's rubbing it in.
Yeah, I know. It's a great moment of heart and contrast and all that. But the other thing I want to bring up is when Marge is very slowly driving a go-kart. So, how many of our listeners are familiar with Jamboree Recreation Park?
Where you control the action.
Yeah, so I don't know what you call it, but it's kind of this thing where they've got this long kind of metal half-pipey thing that winds down the hill.
Oh,
and you kind of ride down it on like a little board thing that you can kind of control the speed of. And the idea is that you go fast and it's fun. We all went on this as, when I was a kid. I was maybe, 10, and my mum was on it as well. And we all got to the bottom and she still wasn't there. And 5 minutes go past and she's still not there. We're like, shit, has she fallen off or something? And like another 5 minutes go past. And we're like, can we actually go look? We're really worried. And then no, she comes very slowly going down, just taking her time, enjoying the scenery. I'm like, Mum, that's kind of the point. She's like, no, I'm just looking at the trees.
Oh, God.
So yeah, Marge doing this like slow and steady wins the race kind of moment is just such a beautiful mom moment. I got a good chuckle out of it.
So one of the only good things we have in Southeast Queensland is the amusement parks, especially pre, tragedy at Dreamworld a few years ago. Yeah. But with all those, my mum would always take us, and she would never ride the ride. She'd just sit on those little trains that go around the whole thing, and she'd spend all day doing that. That was enough fun and excitement for her.
Aw.
She wasn't the most fun person, and she screamed horribly on the chairlift at SeaWorld. So much that people in the upper carriages could hear her. And we have that videotaped forever, and even 15 years later, it's still good.
Just wheel that one out when there's a lull in the conversation or something. So are we talking just like a basic like ski lift, chairlift? Because it's been
like they called it
like more
chairlift.
of a gondola?
Yeah, kind of more like a gondola. You're fully enclosed in it.
But you're up high.
You're up high. It's like a monorail, but you're hanging instead of, on your thing. You're nice and safe, and if you fell completely, you have all the metal surrounding you to break the fall slightly before you die. So, it's not as bad as an actual horrible chairlift, with the bars.
Yeah.
So, she isn't a party animal. And
but she still took you anyway. That's,
similar, like... I remember it was frustrating going with my family to, I'm sure you have a similar thing, the Royal Easter Show, because, my oldest brother is petrified of any ride, and my parents are parents, so they're not into it either. So we're literally going around the Easter Show looking at all the fucking cows and chickens and sheep and shit, and I'm like, outside, rides, ticket stuff. We can spend money on crap.
Like, no, you need to look at this pumpkin. Look how big it is. That's pretty big for a pumpkin.
Wow, orange. Oh, and I want to jump on that with the tickets, but just quickly rounding out Jamboree as well, because that giant metal slide thing, when I went down it, I was petrified. Like, it was like too fast for me, and
you can control the speed.
Yeah, but there was this dude who went down behind me who caught up, and he was literally ramming the back of it, and I'm like, I don't know, 10 or 12, somewhere around there at the time, and like he was a teenager, and he rammed me so much that my board in this metal tube got like the death wobbles, and then I immediately came off the track, and it was a nice sweltering hot summer day. My legs slide against that metal track and just absolutely ate up my my calf, and it was the worst. And then I lost my friends, and I spent about an hour and a half wandering that park trying to find them.
That's
It was a
devastating.
bad day.
I like in my memory, tiny Elliot still has a big beard.
And no hair. How about you, Diana? What stood out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
this is the final episode with Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
And just that clip. Like, I always remember this is the final episode with him because it's just, you know, the kind of thing you know. If you, like, watch enough of the show, it sticks with you. But it really is, like, it feels like a segment from a much earlier episode. Like, you could have pulled it out of season 7, season 8, and still would have worked.
Oh, it's classic McClure, yeah.
It is. It's like, it's up there with, you know, some of the other ones.
Oh, yeah.
Before this, you know, in season 9, I think there was only like one episode with Phil Hartman. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the realtor one. You know, I can't pronounce words.
Yeah, with the truth. And
it was good
truth.
to get some classic Phil Hartman. It's just a shame this was the last of it.
Yeah, which does make me think that this probably was a holdover episode from season 9 as well, because it is the 3rd episode of the 10th season, so quite possible. But, you know, if we're going to have a final Troy McClure bit, I think this was great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you had the classic "You May Remember Me From" bit as like, earwigs, ew, and man versus nature, the road to victory.
And just even the final bit of like, oh, the mother will regurgitate food to feed her babies. That's gross. It sure is.
Yeah, and then just the second too long and him doing the extra smile as in, are we done? I think we're done.
One odd thing about that segment is the blue jay on the video was actually a male blue jay.
Oh, was it?
They're more grayish, I think. And they have more pronounced crests.
Yeah, classic female birds are the more dull-looking ones. Yeah. I do like how he teases the mongoose and the...
Whatever it was.
Weasel?
Badger?
No, it was probably Millhouse. But then, yeah, it can't resist a pair of steel tongs and just, I don't know.
The way it lifts it, it's kind of just... And the bird's little feet just like, what?
Yeah, just fended off both a dual attack from a mongoose and a Millhouse. And yeah, it was very good bit.
Steel tongs, they'll get you, man.
Yeah. And God, what stood out to me from this episode? Yeah, let's go back to the amusement funhouse. And like the intro of this episode, like, had either of you heard of this? A book with every kid in it.
Yep.
This is a thing?
This is a thing, yeah. There was a thing plugged on the radio a few years ago, and it still bothers me, where they're basically like, oh, you know, include your child in our book, Pride of the Nation. It's like, nope, fuck this is stupid. Who's dumb enough to fall for this shit?
It seems dicey. Like,
it's completely legal. You just, you know, submit your children and their photo, and they publish a book saying, hey, everyone be proud of your kids. And you have to be an idiot, but still.
Yeah, because you're kind of freely giving out information on a countrywide scale.
People will dox themselves if you let them.
Yeah.
This was, you know, the 90s equivalent of just posting it on Facebook publicly. So
Yeah.
we haven't got smarter. We just changed how we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
That's exactly it, yeah.
But I love that, like, essentially the amusement fun park is the intro to this episode, and it does this really good thing of peppering in essentially sketches around this amusement fun park, but also just gradually introducing the story elements that are going to come in later.
Nelson ramming Millhouses in the go-karts, and then I do like his line to Marge of, cram it, ma'am.
Yeah. And, you know, Marge going slow and him being reckless, like, this is all tying into their characters and how they'll be in the episode, and like, it's very rewarding, and it makes you love all those other moments as well, because it's so relatable. Did you have any favorite moments from this opening, Diana?
It's not really... I mean, I liked when Homer's doing the mail call and just says resident and Marge gets excited. That was good. But this isn't a favorite moment. It's just a very odd thing I picked up on watching it, is Marge says she can smell a scan from 2 towns over, and 2 towns over is what Bart said when he got Laddie.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, it's that classic kind of, it's that shtick, you know?
Well, we actually noticed, and I don't think I've ever noticed this before, when Marge finds out that Bart's at Nelson's, she goes, he's going to be in deep, deep trouble. And I'm like, that's definitely a reference to that bad song that Bart Simpson sings.
I know the song, but it's not bad. I think...
No, he meant 90s bad, you know?
It was cool. It was radical. It was bad.
Yeah.
It is probably the best song on that album, which isn't a high bar, but...
Is that Simpson Sings the Blues, or...?
Yeah, I think so.
Woof.
I mostly know it from the animation, which was on, I think season 2 or 3 DVDs way back in the day.
Yeah, so audience out there, please go check out the music video for Deep, Deep Trouble. It's so weird. And then listen to Pods in the Key of Springfield's review of it, because it helps justify the experience,
And
I
then
feel
like and subscribe.
And like and subscribe.
They might put out an episode this year if you do that.
They're up to 1.
I hear that.
Let's see if they can match their 2020 output.
Yep.
Every time someone buys one of their shirts, they'll do an episode.
Well, we've each got one, and mine's signed, so...
Oh, well, I think you also wanted to mention something that else happened in the mail call bit.
No, just the very beginning of the mail call when, just like, why did you call us in here? I just needed my power fix. It's a cute little bit.
Homer's good reactions in this as well, like when Marge says, oh, you've been selected, and he goes, and then burp, like gas burp. Great 1-2 hit.
But yeah, I also like the argument between, Bart and Marge about going over to Nelson's place. He's like, Nelson is a troubled, lonely, sad little boy. He needs to be isolated.
Yeah.
And then Bart's follow-up of, but Mom, that's all I've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all try that every once in a while.
Yeah. But Mom. Oh, definitely. But yeah, I love how this bit does become a catch-all for all of those, like, yeah, you had Time Zone up there in Queensland, right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know Time Zone was still open, but they opened one right near my job, and I can't believe it. Like, they opened it in November last year.
No, the time zones that still do exist, I feel like they've done a lot of effort in doubling down and, like, trying to make the ones that they still have, like, really big and have a lot of stuff in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
big
you walk
attractions.
past them, and, like, all the prizes are just Funko Pops.
Yeah. Got a Funko Pop of a mustache. I got a Funko Pop of a mustache comb.
You want a Funko Kermit?
Where do they put the giant soulless eyes on a mustache? Okay. But when we were watching the segment with the prizes and there was a BB gun, so my partner, who was American, was saying, wait, you guys probably don't have BB guns in arcades here. And obviously we don't. And it's just weird to me that's like a common occurrence. I kind of thought a BB gun at an arcade was like just something that wouldn't happen even in the crazy world of America in the 90s.
You'd be wrong.
Yeah.
That is something that still astounded me, how surprisingly common, like, children's guns are.
I still remember being a kid when I was visiting America in Walmart, and I was just walking through and it was like, board games, rifle. Wait a sec.
Yeah.
When did we switch?
Like, at most, we had, like, pop guns, you know, those pop caps, or potato guns.
Yep. Potato guns are dope.
Yeah, but even then, now they're illegal.
Really? I'm sure I've seen them around. I guarantee you I've seen that in a toy store.
Maybe
I
in
thought
your
about
like
getting them.
underground seedy potato shooting club. And most of us law-abiding citizens, we don't.
I'm gonna have to go procure these while they're still available. Then I was gonna get some for my nephews, but I don't hate my sister that much.
You'd be the weirdest doomsday prepper, just stocking up on potatoes and
I got the
potato
goods.
guns.
You need ammo? I got spuds.
You could get a potato and carve it into the shape of a gun.
And then load it with guns.
Yep.
Yeah.
A potato that shoots guns.
How you escape prison?
Oh my goodness, it's getting warm in here. But how was the wackiness in this episode? What were some of the cartoony moments that stood out to you?
I really like this the sequence of shouting. So, you know, Marge calls to Bart, and then Homer's like, I'll get him, and shouts even louder, and then just poking his head out the window and shouting to Milhouse.
You always get the sense from this scene that this is a regular way of communication between them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think really drives the humor in that, is not any kind of acknowledgement that this is weird. Just like, yeah, this is how it works in Springfield. What?
Yeah.
With that scene, like, that is so different in my family, and if my brothers are listening to this, they can attest to it. Growing up, we lived across the road from a park and would play there until it was sunset. And then my mum, instead of leaving her house and coming to collect us, she would yell from the living room to across the road at the park to tell us to come inside.
Yeah.
That is some lungs.
As a kid watching this episode, I didn't think this was a joke. Like, that's just what parents do, isn't it?
Relatable. Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
I do like when, you know, you've got the, how do we get Bolivian tree lizards? And it's got, you know, Apu getting a shady delivery. But just the fact that donuts are just in plastic peanut packaging.
Yeah.
There's something just, I don't know, kind of funny about that. It
Weird
me.
Apu delivery playlists as well.
Yeah.
Pair this with Rosebud, and it's like, if you can think of getting a nicer, better way, I'd like to hear it. Well, it's got us there.
My other bit is Lovejoy checking out the Bible every single Sunday for the last 9 years.
It's such a weird aside.
It got me, though.
Yeah.
They always have, like, anytime they go to the library, there's usually some good jokes about.
Yeah.
Until you get to the later episodes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Why I said
Feeding him to a bunch of pigs.
Oh, that's right.
Bridget Jones's diarrhea, I think the joke was.
Oh, yeah, the memories, the horror. In terms of cartoony moments, like I was saying before, really good story that's sort of peppered with these wackier moments is, Bart's little bird court fantasy.
Yeah.
And what I love about this is that I feel like the birds are talking in the same way that Bart would.
It feels like entirely his imagination, and this is how, you know, the court of birds. And I do like the fake out of, I shot a bird, and like, we just asked you to come here to change the newspaper.
We're knee deep in our own droppings. It is disgusting.
Now we'll have to peck your face off.
Peck your face off. So yeah, it's then how they get out of it by Nelson being like, I was bored, so I started slapping you. Like, it's just some really good storytelling and jokes. Like, I really love this bit. Did anyone else have any more wacky moments?
At the bird watching club, So they were going to kill them as gruesomely as possible. So I like that there was already the drill, but they also all had splatter goggles ready.
Yeah. Well, you got to be prepared. That's PPE.
Yeah. Let's just hope the goggles do something.
Nice.
I do love the birdwatching club. Like, it does feel weird. Like, why would these people be in a group, especially Burns? But I love what every character brings to this scene.
Oh, yeah. Like from
Well, it was
Jasper's.
the Burns watching club. So
But even, from Jasper's, like, my God, a pigeon. That's the last one on my list.
How the pigeon was the last one. It's such a good joke.
I know. And Skinner's like, no, there's been some confusion. You cannot count birds you've seen in zoos, on stamps, or in dreams.
Yeah, and Mo being there as well. Well, I'm back to square one. Like, everyone brings something here, and Edna as well. Just push her out of the way. Way to shove, Edna. Like, it feels like every character here was purposely picked.
Yeah, who would have the best lines for this?
Yeah. And like, I guess we're moving into the heart around this scene as well. So we'll just jump to that, where Marge, the way that this story ties together in this moment, like where Bart's doing the whole appeal, I know they're gross and everyone says they're bad, but I love them. And like, that is just, it feels like genius storytelling to me, quite frankly.
Good. It's a great exact selection of the phrasing. Everyone says they're monsters, but I raised them and I love them. I know that's hard to understand. It's like, there's the heart feels.
He says, sliding out of his chair.
Well, I was falling with the power of the heart feels. And just him running off and coming back to give her a kiss. It's like,
It's just so well told, and it ties in everything with this episode. I think it's exquisite.
I really liked both of Marge's reactions to first when the bird is shot and she sees it. And then, Bart is depressed that, he didn't want to do this and she thinks that he's a bad person. But, a bit more low-key, but I liked in the treehouse when Marge isn't sure how to react seeing the birds there. She seems like she's going to lecture him, and then she starts to, hug him and everything. And I really liked that. I consider this episode like a spiritual successor to Marge Be Not Proud, because it kind of deals with a lot of the same stuff. And there aren't many Marge Bart episodes. And these are like the two good ones. And then the next best one's like the bicycle one I discussed last time, which is a big step in quality.
Well, especially this one, like, it's got the storyline of Marge, like, essentially giving up on Bart. It's just, there's nothing more I can do. And
there's a bit where he's like, I know, I did wrong, you need to punish me. And she's like, why bother? Yeah,
and the choice of Marge to leave Bart at Nelson's, like, it's a very 90s thing. Like, kids wrapped in cotton wool these days. Well,
I mean, he got there on his own. I'm sure he can get back on his own, even without a scarf.
But it's such a good choice for this episode as well, to really drive home.
That she didn't drive him home?
Yeah. I caught myself doing that pun and I didn't like it, but it's true. It's exactly what it was doing, and it was doing it so effectively. And yeah, you really feel for Marge in those moments as well, which makes that when they come together over the eggs again so satisfying.
Yeah. Or even just Bart, when he finds the egg, he's like, I'm really sorry. There was an incident involving your mother. Mistakes were made by me. And it's like,
As he's saying his appeal to Chirpy Boy and Bart Jr. Oh, so cute. But did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? So these are characters we know and love.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really see any flaws in the integrity here.
Again, I like that a lot of this is very subtly put together about Marge's disappointment and Bart's guilt. It's not a big speech about any of them. They're usually just expressions and, actions like leaving him to, get home by himself.
Yeah. I will say there is like a tiny little jerk-ass Homer moment where he's like, Bart's birth took 5 minutes and took 72 hours or whatever it was.
This is like 53, which is a long time.
Labor can take a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like I would criticize that, but this is also the same episode where he was going to punish Lisa by making her get a snack for herself. So
I do love it. Yeah, she's going to march right down to the Quickie Mart and get me some beer. And get something for yourself, sweetie.
Oh, it's so lovely. Like I think it's the only shame because I adore Homer in this episode. Like the bit of him falling down into the basement just fucking gets me on every beat that they choose to do it.
And then it reprises, and then they do it again, and it's still funny.
Yeah.
Because of this episode, I always assume that's where the basement door is. And then if you watch the recent Real Gyms episode about, the house structure, it really just makes you realize how many times it's just a regular closet.
Yeah, that's right.
this is the defining moment of that mysterious door to me. It's just the one that I always think of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a bathroom before, and
Yeah, we don't talk about that. The Billy beer is kept there. I think that's the only other memory I have of it.
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, the closet of all the references. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's an amazing place, that closet.
I will say, actually, I thought it was kind of weird on this watch where the method for warming the birds goes from, use a light bulb to using pies. Like, the light bulb didn't break. Why did they switch to pies?
So you can have a pie joke, Elliot.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried moving a very long series of extension cords off a tree back into the kitchen? You can't be bothered. It's easier to make a pie.
I deal in audio and music. Extension cords are the bane of my existence.
And would it kill you to make some coffee?
Oh, but actually, Jordan's anal corner.
Jordan, sorry, I'm not gonna do a full thing. My voice is gonna happen.
Fair enough. The extension cord's red, and then when Marge says, "Oh, my good grey extension cord," then it's grey from that moment on.
Canonically colorblind in this one episode. I think that's the fair explanation.
Yeah.
She's exclusively colorblind to red extension cords.
I'm canonically colorblind.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, what's the next question? I put the questionnaire slightly too low, so I have to look past my name. Yes or no? Would you watch this episode again?
I would. This is one of my favorites it's easily like my favorite of season 10, I think. And, I consider this classic, even if I probably shouldn't, but I think the Troy McClure kind of, settles it.
Yeah, true.
That's why we're here. Society has an idea of what classic is, and we're here to prove that no, classic is what comes from the heart.
And so that means you'd watch it again, BT?
Yes, I would, Elliot.
And I would too, but no episode is perfect. Even the cubic zirconias have room for improvement. So BT, what would you like to change about this episode?
And we're going to do playlist?
What playlist would this go in?
Episodes we watch again. We like to think about what playlist. What would pair well with this episode?
Oh, yeah. Thanks. So you mentioned Marge Be Not Proud before, so the Bart Marge divides.
That'd be a very good one, too.
Two-town over playlist.
Yes. Homer's ineffective punishments.
Yeah, just Apu's weird collection of where he gets various products.
Yep.
Nelson.
Yeah, good Nelson playlist.
Also have a playlist of ones where Milhouse clearly dies.
Yeah.
So like him jumping off the dam, or, when he's all nice doggy to whatever that little creature is. I don't know what it is that hisses and has
I think it's a trilobite.
Trilobites are small. I don't know, whatever it is. It looks dangerous. And this, he just gets, rammed off the go-kart course, and the go-kart catches fire.
Oh, yeah. Big fucking car crashes as well with explosions that probably wouldn't have been that big. Yeah, there's a big playlist, which mostly involves Hans Moleman, which is scary, the idea that Milhouse might grow up to be Hans Moleman with all these.
Wow.
It's better than growing up to be Kirk.
God,
True.
I suppose. But like I was saying before, episodes are not perfect. This one could be improvement, whatever. BT, what would you like to change about this episode?
Good question. I would like to watch Earwigs. Ew. If I could just see that documentary, that would be great. Marge says no kickboxing. Why don't we have some kickboxing?
Oh, classic. Yeah, Homer's suggestions getting shut down. No scissors.
And the
No
kickboxing
fires.
playlist when he thinks Lisa could grow up to be a professional kickboxer.
Yeah, wins the Nobel Prize in kickboxing.
That's right.
And also, I'm just looking at my notes here. I guess it could also go on the playlist of only X amount of payments until that thing is ours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those lines that gets reused like one day till retirement sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also going to throw another playlist of dunking on pigeons, because there's this one that calls it like the sewer rat or whatever.
Yeah.
And also in Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 2, where Lisa's all like, I'd kiss you if I went swimming with disease.
Mm-hmm.
Take that, pigeons.
How about you, Diana? What would you like to change about this episode?
There isn't too much, I guess. Like I said earlier, I think season 10, every episode gets a bit wacky at the end. And this one still gets a bit wacky with the whole, the lizards taking over the whole town, which is good. But I don't think it goes too off the rails, I guess. Yeah. It's kind of dated in just Nelson's casual homophobia with Bart. Like, oh, I'm prancing. You're going to marry Milhouse. Blah, 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 blah. It's a product of 1998.
Yeah, it's of its era.
Yeah.
I had much worse growing up in school, so it's not a big deal. It's just you probably wouldn't do that in 2021, but
Yeah, his impersonation of how Bart walks is not even remotely accurate.
But yeah, it's very much that 90s bullies thing, and it's the character. But yeah, it is like, it's a pretty drawn out. I guess my problem with the episodes are really its start and its finish, because they just sort of have a means to an end feel about them. Like the start with the book and all that, it's like, oh, okay, pretty convoluted way to get us to the amusement center, but whatever, it's fine. There's a good smattering of jokes there. And same with the end, where
quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point about the end as well, with Skinner doing the
God, that's such a good list.
yeah, the woman who swallowed the frog to get rid of the fly.
The lizards get rid of the pigeons. We get wave after wave of Chinese needle steaks to get rid of the pigeons. And then we've got to found a certain type of gorilla that thrives on snake meat. And when winter comes, the gorillas just freeze to death.
So it does have this certain feel like they're bailing out at the end of the episode because of that, but and especially with the scented candle. Like,
I love that. Especially, Loganberry.
As a Queenslander, animals destroying our ecosystem is something I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, David X. Cohen said he was inspired by the whole cane toad story with Australia, yeah.
I don't know what it's like in New South Wales, but rabbits are illegal as pets here.
Oh.
Interesting.
You're just not allowed to have them because rabbits breed like rabbits, I guess. Yeah, they're not allowed here, and we have the Easter bilby, which I don't know how big that is down south.
They tried it. It didn't quite land.
It's landing slightly better here, because if it was the Easter bunny, we'd have to shoot it on site, and kids don't like that.
Stupid kids.
Wow, I didn't know that. So yeah, finishing off what I'd like to change about it. Like, there are just those clunky moments, but even then, like, I don't hate them, and I don't think they're really dragging the episode out too much. It's just sort of like, they get us to where we're going, and they do it fine, and there's some jokes. It's just, technically, maybe it could have been done better, but I'm not smart enough to know
the
how.
only joke like that for me is one that's like, oh, I hate folding sheets. Homer, that's your underwear.
Yeah.
Again, I'm having a good enough time that one doesn't bother me too much. I mean, I do like, everything around it. All the yelling jokes I really liked, so we get away from it pretty quick. But if that was, in an HD era, I'd be like, ugh.
Yeah, and like even the wackiness with the lizards like learning to fly at the end, I think that sold really well.
100% safe. Like, do you know how they had those wings for gliding? Yes. I hope they didn't know.
Yeah. It's so good. All right, we're here. Diana, do you have any other notes?
Yeah, this episode had some surprisingly good visuals. Like, when they're shooting the shooting car, you see it from the perspective of the mirror, and it shatters and it looks nice. In the birdwatching club, you see the binoculars, but backwards.
Yeah.
Oh,
there he is, off in the distance.
It's so good.
Coming off an HD episode, it's just good to see nice visuals, but I feel like even by season 10 standards, there's a few more fun gimmicks with the visuals here than we're used to.
Yep.
And also, when we had the whole montage of Bart, raising the eggs in the treehouse, it cut straight from Bart shooting a hose at Snowball 2, and then she runs inside the house, and then it transitions to Homer and Marge. And I just like that's a really seamless way to go from character A to character B.
Yeah, to go from montage back to real time.
Yeah, it could have just been a easy, jump cut.
And it's done with that solid joke of, Snowball shaking the water, which goes on Santa's little helper, which goes on Homer, who then also shakes like an animal because he does. Oh, wonderful.
And the follow-up of, what do you think he's doing in that treehouse? Drug lab? Reading comics, what do I know? I don't know and I don't want to know. I'm going to find out.
I guess Simpsons predicted Breaking Bad is going to be the next headline going online.
Oh, definitely. How about you, BT? Any other notes?
As always, I'm a fastidious note taker. I do like at the batting cage, Homer's like the first ball, he's like, ooh, ball one, ooh, ball two, this idiot's going to walk me.
Yeah.
And just the animation of him lying down and him slowly being rolled as the balls slam into him is just, it gets me, it's funny.
The one bit of animation from there that always stuck with me is where, Homer's dropped the bat and it's like, why I order, and the ball just directly hits him dead on the index
and that
finger.
Foley is just a little cracking, like, ooh, that sounded like it hurt.
Yeah, that reminded me of when I used to play rugby league as a teenager, and no shit, every game I'd stub my finger like that on the ball when trying to catch it. And it's one of the reasons I gave up. It's like, no, I care about base playing way more than this shit.
Did they use the Homer being hit by baseball scene in the clip show on the last episode?
Oh, I'm going to look that up, probably.
Because that belongs there much more than, hundreds of clones falling down.
Exactly.
100%. I also like when Homer's helping Marge with the laundry, he's like, here, I balled up all the socks. It's just like, oh, God, what have you done?
That's what I do. I don't have...
Yeah, I've seen how you handle tea towels.
I don't pair my socks. I just ball them up and I have sock pile. And same with tea towels. Why fold them? I'm just going to make them messy again too.
you inhuman
Why wash
monster.
them? You're going to make a messy again.
Yep.
Exactly.
Just Lisa's quick rant of 1, they don't have beaks, 2, they don't have feathers, and 3, they are clearly lizards.
Wonderful.
Yep, and I think... Oh no, when Skinner's all like, okay, that's exactly 1 moment, just staring at his watch, it's good. And just here's a relinquish the lizards, Bart. I said relinquish. A good word to like try and overemphasize like that.
Yeah, Skinner becomes a great villain in this episode.
Well, even he's doing his civic duty, as he said. It's
Yeah.
just, I like that pepper in that little bit of villainy by saying the law says you have to kill them as quickly and gruesomely as possible.
Yeah. And I can confirm this clip wasn't used in that.
Come on.
So
Stupid
the last episode took place in the clone Simpsons canon timeline, but not the Bart the Muppet timeline. That's officially how it goes.
Yeah, because after Ocarina of Time, the timeline splits into 3.
And yeah, my final notes, the amusement park had a sign out the front that said, as seen on When Disasters Happened 4. Very good joke. Some of the other prizes you can get at the fun zone are thumbtacks, rubber bands, and an ice cube.
You can't do ice cubes in Queensland. They melt too quickly.
No.
Nah, not these days with kids.
3 tickets will get you a puddle in Queensland. And, oh yeah, Nelson just cooking a whole carrot while he hums the Simpsons theme. Another odd moment that I'm like, kind of like the Lovejoy thing is like, I don't know why this is here, but it amuses me.
Yeah, no, I think it works for Bart's isolation because Marge has left him, okay, fine, play with your hoodlum friend.
Yeah.
Nelson's already forgotten he was there. And it's just like, oh, he's on his own, and then he has to go back and look at the nest, and yeah.
Yeah.
And it would have been the ad break as well, and if you can't make a joke, just put a song in. That's what you do.
Well, it's time to rank this thing. Diana, you picked this episode. You get the privilege of going first on the rankings.
It's not a privilege to go first on an episode where I'm this split. My heart and brain are thinking very different things right now. But this is one of my favorites of its particular era. And I love Marge Me Not Proud, and this reminds me of it. But, there are still 9 seasons before this, so it's not at the top. I guess it has to be gold. It's good. It's like the best of season 10, but season 10 isn't the highest bar in the world.
Well, I mean, having said that, I'm actually going cubic on this one.
Thank God.
I think this one is an essential watch, and even though it is like Marge Be Not Proud diet, like light, I just have such a good time with this one, and those clunky moments really don't mean anything when I think this is actually an essential episode to watch in the entire series run. So yeah, proudly giving this one a cubic. How about you, BT?
I'm going to go with the gold. I had a good time. The heart for this one really lands, and I like that it's genuinely heart through expression and action without really beating you over the head with it. And yeah, I have a good time. I got some laughs, and third thing.
Sing a song.
No.
All right. Well, this will be a Shiny Gold, and it'll be the 4th episode from Season 10 to get the Shiny Gold award. It'll also be joining Treehouse of Horror 9, Wild Bart's Can't Be Broken. It's the We Know All Your Secrets.
Oh, nice.
And Sunday Cruddy Sunday, with the football episode with no football in it.
Or Dolly Parton.
Oh, there's plenty of Dolly Parton.
No, but there's no singing is what I meant. I was trying to shortcut that entire bit, and now we've explained it all, and we're just eating up time.
There is egg magic. I think that makes it good.
You should have known
Vincent
the grave
Price's
wouldn't hold me.
egg magic.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time we move on to our classic era episode, and a bit of a somewhat controversial one.
On the one where Bart genocides a bunch of people. Yeah.
Dark Days.
Those happy little elves had it coming.
No, we're going to go watch Season 5's Secret of a Successful Marriage.
I knew you'd do this. Because you said on the last episode, considering the classic episode we're doing...
Nice little breadcrumb I dropped in there.
I was really hoping you had already done this episode, and I forgot it. 'Cause I don't want to say anything bad about Season 5. But I might have to.
Well, in a way, I've done this episode because, I reviewed this with Pods in the Key of Springfield.
That's like, so I was sitting there going, I'm sure we did this on one I missed, because I remember you talking about Jerk-Ass Homer.
Yeah, no, that's on a different pod feed, so yeah.
We can cut you out of this episode and just put your old clips in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jiminy Jillikers.
All right, let's go do that. We will be back. And we are back, and we just watched our classic era episode, and this was Season 5, Episode 22, Secrets of a Successful Marriage. First released in May of 1994, it was directed by Carlos Baeza, written by Greg Daniels. The Office fame, Parks and Rec as well. Anyway, in this episode, everyone knows this episode, Homer becomes a teacher and then divulges all secrets about Marge, and Marge kicks him out, and then the ending kind of sucks. Hey, what do we think?
It's really good. The ending kind of sucks.
Yeah, it starts off well, and it doesn't end as well.
It's such a fucking bummer.
Yeah, I feel like it's the opposite of the first episode we discussed, where this front loads its best material at the beginning.
Yeah. So, I do think this episode definitely deserves dissection. Where my format in my podcast comes undone, though, is going to be in the rankings, because I don't know, even at the moment, how to accurately reflect my feelings on this one.
I have my answer in my head, but it still feels wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've tried to put them all through my head, and none of them feel right.
Yeah. This is why we have the discussion.
You need more ratings on your thing. You need a 100-point scale so I can accurately put in where it belongs.
It's like, sure, you've said gold, but how many carats is that gold?
Well, see, that's the problem with any linear scale, is that I think this episode really defies that. Whereas most episodes, I can comfortably put 1 to 6. Which box does it fall in? This one, it deserves an esoteric ranking.
It deserves discussion. The ranking is listen to the podcast. You know? It's because we've all had rankings before where we've said, I'm going to give this a silver with a big fucking asterisk next to it because there's some parts I really like, but they don't work because of this reason, or vice versa. It's a complicated one, so thank God you're listening, listener.
Yeah. Diana, we'll start out with you. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
I will just say, because I'm going to rail into it harder, I'll start with something good. There have been a lot of memes made from this episode. Oh, yeah. There's the Fly Girl thing, I can't believe it's not butter thing, where there's that. And then there's the Homer and Mo thing, where this episode inspired most of my Facebook feed. And it's weird to think about because individually, I know all these are from this episode, but I guess I don't think of it as a collective.
No, especially because the Mo teaching the funk self-defense class, it's so un-Mo. It's also not Mo in this episode who...
But that's why it's so damn funny.
Changes gears within the episode. But of course you adore this bit. It rules. It rules so hard.
Some dissing your Fly Girl.
And a pretty good dancer and then a very terrifying shotgun
Not
wielder.
only does he pull a shotgun out of hammer space, but he somehow fires 3 times from a double barrel. So,
I'm guessing the double barrel means you can only fire once from each barrel.
That's the one.
I do not know guns.
You need to play more first-person shooters. Or don't. It's fine. You don't need to know this information.
Just live in America.
Yeah, that might be my American heritage speaking out there.
Yep.
You ain't get that many shots from a buckshot there, kiddo.
Jordan's anal corner. I am so sorry, all our American listeners.
I'm allowed to do it. That was offensive, dude.
Whoops.
I come from hillbilly blood. Thank you very much.
But yeah, you're right, the meme culture around this episode and especially the "No, you can't, Mr. Simpson. No one can."
Wow, good impression.
He's got that particular lisp that I associate with Joan Cusack.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite memes that come out of the "No, you can't, Mr. Simpson" guy is the one that's I can make a 2-panel comic within 1 panel. And then just nothing after that. It's
Brilliant.
Yeah. So Simpsons Bort posting on Facebook. Go check them out and subscribe to the Simpsons Index while you're there.
And check out Tenuous and Obscure Simpsons, which I am a moderator of and have been for ages.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's just a Facebook group where you post things that make you think of a Simpsons, but, aren't direct screenshots. So
right.
There are plenty of examples that I'm blanking on right now. But someone, for example, saw something and it said Mill Pool, but it was an actual brand or something.
Oh, wow.
It's just things like that.
If anyone's passed by the real life Tragic Moments Party Supplies or whatever that was down the street of...
Painful Memories Party Supplies.
Painful Memories, down the street of relevant shop fronts. What do we call it?
Love that street in The Simpsons.
Yeah. How about you, BT? What stands out to you for better or worse?
I'm also going to dive straight into this one. I'm going to mention the part that is really kind of a good example of why this is a difficult episode to review. And that's going to be right towards the end where Marge is all, Homer's been accepted back into the house, and Marge is like, I've got a special present for you too, but I'll give it to you later. And then Homer has the admittedly hilarious line of, oh, but I want it now. I want the kids to see. It's just hilarious because, again, it's that golden retriever moment of, oh, no, I want all excitement and not kind of decoding her message. The problem, of course, being that she's only literally just forgiving him from all the awful things and is already basically rewarding his behavior with sex. And it's like, I mean, I love the joke, but it's also kind of what makes this one uncomfortable to think about. It's that basically Homer is a selfish dick the entire time, and all it takes is a, very sad apology, but that's it. He suffers no repercussions. And weirdly, it reminds me of later on, I don't know what season it is, it's one of our most hated episodes, the one where Homer puts Marge in the driver's seat after he crashes the car drunk. And then the end of that episode is, oh, okay, honey, I'll give up clear liquors just for you. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. You're such a great man. It's like, no, this is a problem. He's done something awful, and there needs to be something for that. I get that it's a subversion of the expectation that when the whole, you need to give Marge something that no one else can, that he's like, no, it's complete and utter dependence, and that's the joke. But it still just feels kind of gross.
Yeah, we may as well just get into this part of the episode.
I've thrown us in the deep end.
Yeah, so if it's sort of not clear to people why this ending sucks...
If it's been a while and you don't quite remember.
Yeah, or if you took it as an endearing thing that, Homer is nothing without Marge, that's the exact problem. It's the kind of verbal abuse that's like, without you, I'll kill myself, essentially. And that's what makes this really uncomfortable, and it's so difficult to reconcile because it's an abusive thing to say.
Well, the best light you can shine on it is that he's codependent and she's enabling that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem. And yeah, maybe we're taking a cartoon too seriously, but this is what we do. Shut up.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything. This is an episode I like when I watch it, and then I come away hating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the one where you pick it apart, you're like, hang on, that's a bit fucked.
Like, I think quite little of this episode. If you were to ask me, like, you bumped into me on the street somehow and said, what do you think of this episode? I would say, oh, it's not that great because X, Y, Z. But when I'm watching it, it's very funny, and I kind of forget how toxic it is, and then the toxic stuff comes out later, and this shouldn't be on a linear scale.
No, it shouldn't. And, there is a pivot point in this episode where, for me, it stops becoming a fun ride. And especially it starts being obvious that, there's a lot of jerk-ass Homer going on in this. And that is when he's, has the pivot as a teacher, where he starts divulging the secrets. From that moment on, this episode stops becoming charming, endearing, and funny. And, yeah, I think your perfect word there, Diana, toxic.
Yeah, there's a part where, he obviously does it by mistake when he's, trying to replace the names. And I do like I love the joke of, let's just call them Mr. X and Mrs. Y. So the man would say, Marge, if this doesn't get your motor running, my name isn't Homer J. Simpson, giving it away by pure accident. And I love the joke. But then later when you've got lines like, okay, everyone read chapters 7 through 18 of Lisa's Diary.
Yeah.
Again, joke is good, but that kind of reveals that how purposefully it became, that it's gone from him accidentally divulging secrets to very purposely doing it.
I think the turning point, because I know that everything Homer did previously was wrong, and the first couple times it was, a bit of an accident, there was peer pressure, whatever. I think when it becomes unforgivable is when the entire class is there watching them eat dinner.
Yeah.
That's a whole different level of it gets too far.
Yep.
Yeah, because then he's ignoring Lisa's concerns. And again, like you're saying, BT, I like the joke, but then the repercussions and the understanding of it makes it worse, where Bart goes, oh, yeah, we threw mail down in the quarry. And it's like, what? You double dared us.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the sewer, yeah. That's funny, but then, yeah, Homer's physically abusing his son in front of all these people and trying to brush over it. It's like, oh, this guy's a monster.
Yeah, I mean, and I would largely forgive that scene simply because this is where he gets the most repercussions for his actions. Lisa gets mad at him. The class sees he is actually bad at this. It's all kind of falling apart. And then Marge kicks him out. It's just the follow-up of what the consequences to that are is weak, and it's not good enough for giving a sense of closure to this.
Yeah. And what stands out to me from this episode, look, I think we're going to have some funny things to say about it, but
I think my notes are very positive.
Yeah, especially in the front half. But I will say, despite all the toxic stuff, I think this episode is actually guilty of a lot of things that we don't like about modern Simpsons and some of the obvious joke telling. And I'll tell more as we go, but one of the examples that really stands out to me is the Otto going, is any of this on the test? Because I wasn't paying attention. It's just this sort of obvious joke telling. And even when Homer goes, I'll never blab about anything again. Ned pops his head out. Oh, Marge is just annoyed because I blabbed about her elbow thing. Like, it's this sort of joke telling that I'm like, this isn't well crafted.
I would say the Ned bit is.
Yeah.
I like that. Like, just also how easily and just organically, because naturally Ned would poke out his head. It wasn't, it feels like modern Simpsons would have Smithers walking past and going, oh, what's going on here? Mr. Burns is trying to sleep 2 streets over and he's incredibly sensitive because of his new earworm medicine. That kind of ridiculous, whereas this at least comes about organically.
No, a modern Simpsons episode would be like, wow, Jeff Bezos, what are you doing?
Because that guy needs another paycheck.
Okay, he just retired. He's making slightly less billions.
Good for him. He needs to relax.
He can only have 5 yachts.
They're the kind of yachts you fit yachts in, though. So
yachts. Yacht truck.
Sorry, Scott, yacht truck.
Yacht truck.
Yep.
And even don't try eating these so-called chips. It's like, ugh.
That one's pretty heavy.
Try harder. And even some of the Homer's slow stuff, I didn't really vibe with.
I'm pretty sure I went with all that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Come on, especially somebody said, not good. Don't yell at Homer? No, that's fine.
See, I could buy that one, but then the extended bit with the family where he's chuckling to himself at the whole thing, it's like, fucking get on with it.
With the initial something said not good, it just implies Homer's brain is completely off during the rest of the poker game. And I feel like they'd be yelling at him more, especially Mo. Yeah. Unless that was the very last hand that was dealt.
Yeah, there's some weird implications about that, which I guess makes the pull out and reveal of Lenny in his nightie and everything so funny, but yeah.
It was before he started living in that really crap house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Circumstances change,
He lost a few poker hands, let's just assume.
Don't tell people how he lives.
Stupid Homer winning when he's not realizing. That's funny. But how about the wackiness of this episode? What are some of the more cartoony moments that stood out to y'all?
Homer falling apart so quickly and it only being a day. That's wacky.
Yeah, see, to me, that's another one of these too stupid jokes where it had only been a day. I was like...
100% worth it, though. I love the smash cat where he's all standing outside and his long speech of, maybe I'll drop you a line wherever I land in this topsy-turvy smash cut, especially his expression as he's leaning out the treehouse door.
See, I love all that, but the one day, that was just I think a week would have been funnier.
No, I like it because we as an audience don't have a point of context, and so to be given that one suddenly, I think it would lose humor over time, maybe, but in that initial first watch, you would have been like, damn.
Yeah.
Also, there were multiple issues with driving through red lights.
That was my big note of wackiness. Just Homer's glee that he's just bragging about this to anyone and everyone.
Yeah, because again, it's a very golden retriever moment of, look, I've got a stick.
But yeah, even Mrs. Hoover just going along, I didn't know we could do that. Just plowing. Oh, so fucking funny. And yeah, of course, it's a felony to tease the order box.
And especially the button on the, that whole first ad break is amazing, mostly just because for anyone playing at home, this ends on the Krusty Burger box going, wait, I need closure on that anecdote.
Yeah.
All that happens in the span of maybe, 5, 7, maybe?
It's a wonderful first act. And yeah, all the different classes as well. What was your favorite class, Diana?
I like the how to eat an orange class. The absurdity of it, but also, just the coincidence that it is like a marriage.
Just eat that damn orange.
But when I was younger, I hated this episode because, people were in too many classes at once. But if these are happening at different times, Lenny teaches his class from 6 till 7, and then Homer's class is 7 till 8 or something, implies everyone has really busy days. So there are so few Springfieldians, they all double dip into 2 or 3 classes.
It is a good point, though, because, we see a lot of the same characters from Lenny's class in Homer's class, and then Homer starts his class by redirecting someone who was meant to be in the tobacco class.
I assume there were just multiple tobacco classes. Yeah. It's such a popular thing. It's
I would also enjoy learning how to make that ting sound.
Yep. Getting it right in the spittoon or cospidor.
Spittoon. Get out of here with your fancy cospidors.
I only know that word because of Bart from the season 1 episode where he's Toreador, don't spit on the floor, use a cospidor, that's what it's for.
I have heard that line so many times and had no idea what it meant. I never bothered to look it up or apply critical thinking, so thank you.
Who says you can't learn nothing from the Simpsons Index?
Yep. I thought you were going to say The Simpsons, and I'll be,
Yeah.
podcasts about The Simpsons. You already beat me to it.
A spreadsheet about The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That's also a podcast. Yeah, so like I said, kind of light on the wacky moments, but yeah, all that spittoon stuff is great. Oh, and I love the guy who gets redirected as well. He spits. It's like, down the hole. Thank you, and spits again. It's a great button on that joke. But, I mean, how about the emotional moments? Did we cover it all? Is there some more heart that we want to mention?
I do like Lisa coming to see Homer, and first of all, the joke of that he's made a plant version of Marge.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that gets me every time. Just how manic he is, especially when he gets the pudding. He's like, your flesh mother used to bring me pudding.
Flesh mother.
Oh, yeah, outside of context, terrifying. In context, hilarious. But just, her point of, there's a reason two people come together, and so they give each other something that no one else can. This is the potential moment of, driving a good heart at the end. It doesn't go that way, but at this point, with Lisa giving him the advice, yeah.
Lisa gets to be I don't know if it's the right word, but an interesting catalyst in this episode, in that she's very hyper aware of the emotions and what's at stake right now.
Well, she's dealt with this a lot, because every time Mom and Dad fight, she adds to her string ball in the attic.
I'm trying to think if I like this joke or not. It's so bleak.
It is, but wacky bleak.
Snowball dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then at the end where Lisa reinforces, now, don't screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bleakness to that as well, but maybe effective with her character. I don't know.
Yeah, again, if there was the undercurrent that there were more consequences for Homer, like Lisa saying, don't screw this one up, because it's like she remembers all the things you did wrong. Yeah, it would have landed a lot better, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Diana? Any other emotional moments?
It was emotional for the first half of it before you realized it was a joke, but when Marge is driving and you think she's having those memories of Homer, it really does feel like an emotional moment. But then when you think about it, you realize Marge was hearing Homer's voice and didn't realize that's not how thoughts happen.
Just through a cardboard tube. Yeah, I like that they're playing on their own bits. They've done this, drive down the ironic street part and have the echoing thought. I really love the joke of them knowing that this is what the audience expects and finding a great way to undermine it.
This episode, I do like its pull out and reveal jokes, and especially where, Homer's already talked about the class that he talks in bed with Marge, and it's so close in on Homer, but then, it turns out he's at the speaker box. It's, there's some great pullback and reveals here.
I am really hoping that one of the things Homer didn't teach in his class was how he pulls out and reveals it to Marge. I hope that didn't come out.
Oh.
This has been Cock Talk.
Wrong podcast.
All right.
But ultimately, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons? How's the character integrity?
I mean, yeah, integrity is this is a weird fusion of Golden Retriever Homer to Jerk-Ass Homer, which very rarely happens, but when he's Golden Retriever, it's vintage.
Yeah, I hate to say it, unfortunately feels in character for Marge. It's not a good thing, though.
No, and again, I think part of the problem now is that we've seen her do this so many times. If it had been once, it would be, okay, that's the joke. But to do it again and again, it becomes a problem that when you go back and revisit this one, that's probably one of the first ones where she does just forgive him offhand and all's forgiven and it's all's well that ends well. It doesn't sit right.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Diana? Does this feel like the classic Simpsons in the classic era?
Yes, but it has all the baggage associated with that too. Classic Simpsons is great, 99% of the time. And then you get those moments. Something that really did remind me of just how, what the writer's room were like was the how to turn a man into putty joke. And it was just, do you get it? Patty and Selma are unattractive. They are kind of fat and hairy. So, you get a lot of the good and bad.
Yeah.
This isn't what I would say, and spoilers, this isn't an essential episode. It doesn't have all the ingredients, but it has most of them, and they're adequately prepared.
Yeah, I think there's a much better way to do, if you want to have them be turned off by Patty and Selma. I think of the moment where she ties a cigarette in a knot with her tongue. It's like, ew.
Yeah.
That's... Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not about her being, her physical shape, which she, to a certain degree, can't help.
Yeah, it's her thinking this is hot, but it's like, there's just going to be so much ash in your mouth now.
I liked that when Homer was outside, he was scared of the crickets.
Yeah.
I did like that joke.
Out here.
Homer needed all the humanizing he could get at that very moment.
No, I do like that because, yeah, this is the kind of sound effects that just sort of sit in the background and you wouldn't notice. And it's just like, ooh, crickets. Like, yeah, I enjoyed that. But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
I would. I mean, the jokes are solid. I do have very weird feelings about the storytelling of it. But also there's something to be said. The thing I'm kind of struggling with, this is what, season 5? Yeah. Because The Simpsons, when it started, was a subversion of like all family sitcom tropes. So to have the whole, absolute dependence thing, I feel like would have landed a lot more at the time. And it's only really in retrospect that it becomes the issue we're discussing here. But I mean, damn, the joke telling this one's really good.
I would gladly watch 20 minutes of it. And then I'd be too lazy to turn it off before it gets to the ending. But I wouldn't want to watch that ending.
No, we've talked about this as a concept of an episode before. We got the laundry playlist, we got the hangover playlist, but this is the one where get up and make some lunch at some point during the watch.
Just hand draw a different ending.
Just, go find something to distract yourself with because there are some absolute classic moments in this one. This might not be an essential episode, spoilers, but there are some cubic zirconia jokes in this one.
Oh, yeah, that opening act is cubic for me.
So we might watch it again. So we like to consider what playlist we might put this in. What are some episodes that pair well with this one?
Ironic street driving.
Yep.
The streetcar playlist. With the Smithers.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
I completely forgot about it, so it got to surprise me this time when she's all, make love to me the way you used to. She goes, no. Just his delivery on the word no. It's just, that gets me.
Yeah, one of these things where I don't know the direct reference. I read it's like Tennessee Williams or something.
Streetcar name design.
Oh, it is Streetcar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That thing they parody all the time.
Sorry.
It's one of the 4 movies they put in every episode. Citizen Kane, Godfather.
Yeah. Definitely.
I know the most niche playlist you can make, and I double-checked, and the episode that I'm pairing it with is the episode directly after this. Both this and Bart of Darkness have a plant dying and the person reacting as if they died.
Excellent. I like it.
Wow.
My other playlist pairs with the previous one, the Homer's Undies playlist.
Mentions of Homer's Undies.
This also goes in Marge Dyes Her Hair playlist with that really shit episode where she's got grey hair.
Blue and the Grey, BT's review out on Patreon. We'll get to that later. BT, what would you like to change about this episode?
All right. So the best idea I have so far is at the end, instead of, Marge can take Homer back, but then let's wrap it up. Instead of having the family sit around the table and have that whole sex joke, have them in a class of like communication. That can be a callback to people running various classes. It can be run by Ned Flanders, and that will show Homer having improvement. And sure, it's not a joke, but it gives a better sense of Homer actually has learned a lesson here, other than I'm back in the house and everything's fine now and I'm the center of the universe. And plus it ties back into people teaching classes. So that's what I got. Elliot, how about you?
I'll ask Diana first.
Oh, I see.
What would you like to change?
I mean, the ending, obviously. But really, other than the ending, not too much. Like, it's funny. And I can even forgive all the shit Homer does if the episode really portrays it as bad as it should be.
Yeah, I think that's my main problem too. It's not that it's unforgivable, it's just that the episode had to give him more, comeuppance, more retribution and all that. Not retribution, redemption.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm stuck. Like, there's a part of me that wants Marge to tell him, I need you to live in the treehouse for a bit longer. I don't know why, and I don't know what that could lead to.
Again, just consequence.
Yeah, I guess I just want Marge to have a lot more agency in this, because I feel like she's so justified in her anger here, and it just, for me, her character is really let down by this story, and that it's played for this emotional beat as well, and Lisa's line at the end, don't screw it up, that should be her line. Like, yeah, ultimately I don't have a concrete answer for this one. It's not as obvious to me. All right, we're here. Diana, do you have any other notes?
Yeah, at the very beginning, there was some surprisingly good lighting when they're playing poker. It was done really well, and they even had some pretty good lighting when Homer was sitting at home. And even like when Homer's tattered rags were caught on the coffee table, they kind of went to the effort to animate it close up.
Yeah, we paused and rewatched this a bit. Does it look weird to you as well?
It does, and it has always looked weird. I feel like there's frames missing, but they still went to the effort.
Yeah, I compared it to, it's like when you watch a slow-mo replay of something that wasn't filmed with a slow-motion camera. But yeah, like you said, kind of felt like there were frames missing.
You know, back then they weren't expecting people to watch these episodes 20, 30 years later on DVD and...
On replay,
I know, that part has always stuck out to me as looking weird since, syndication, so...
Yeah. But also, yeah, that coffee table bugs me as well. Like, I mean, like getting over the fact that they've never had this particular coffee table with upturned spikes on, but no person should have this coffee table.
I know, clearly not. To be fair, they do animate it being like that before he gets caught on it. Like when Murray walks in. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, they got rid of it because it's a tremendous hazard for a house with a baby in it.
Thank you. Yes, that's my point. Yeah. Any other notes, Diana?
I do like the two jackets joke where Homer misunderstood what he had to do with his jackets. I like the whole everything is a sin. Have you read this book thing?
Yeah. Technically, we're not allowed to go to the bathroom.
That is accurate.
Yeah.
It's in there. There's something about not, defecating within city limits. So everyone's a sinner.
I liked, when Homer walked back in on Moe and Marge, Moe was panicking and Homer just said, "Bye, Moe."
Yeah.
Especially when he jumped out the window. Sorry, there's another playlist, jumping out the window playlist.
Oh, yep.
And this is a note more about this podcast than the episode, but every episode you picked is from a season that's half the other one. We went from 20 to 10 to 5.
I was wondering if anyone had noticed that one.
That's literally my first note on this thing.
BT, any other notes?
Let's see. I do like Moe's choking on my own rage here, mostly because that's what I get in my brain when I'm choking on my own rage.
Yeah.
When Homer asks the family, "Do you think I'm slow?" I like Bart and Lisa's reply of, snare.
Snare is such a good word. I know Jekyll absolutely loved it when we reviewed it.
Yeah, it's a great...
And just while we're in that section as well, Marge goes, "Oh, it's not like you go to museums and read books or anything. Neither of which I do. Guys, am I slow?" Okay, fair enough. BT, plow on.
When I learn something new, it always pushes something old out of my head. Remember that I took that home winemaking course and I forgot how to drive? And it's a great example of the Simpsons and how. It's like, you were drunk, and how.
I love and how.
Mm-hmm.
So, Diana, you're pointing out, I know too much about HD-era Simpsons. I really do worry what I've pushed out just to keep this knowledge in there.
It's not how brains work, I think. Weird bit, but I actually quite liked it of when he's talking to the guy who's organizing the classes. It's like, "My wife said this was a good idea." It's like, "Oh, you're married, are you?" He's like, "Well, depends. Is there another way to get this job?" It's like, and also his follow-up of, "No."
Oh, pair this with Last Exit to Springfield where Homer thinks Burns is hitting on him.
Yep, tweed patches on a leather jacket. Ruined two perfectly good jackets.
Such a great line delivery. And
again, a part that wouldn't work if it wasn't a well-structured episode is when he has no idea what to teach. It's just... no talking. I think that really works, even though it is a long, dead silence. Miss Krabappel being a smart woman that makes bad choices, and Lionel Hutz just leaning in right after saying, "I'm a real user of women."
See, to me, this was another one of those obvious joke-telling moments, which I'm like,
I just feel it's a good portrayal of who these characters, much like in the last one where it was all these characters. It doesn't really make sense for these characters to be in this one bird-watching class, but they're all there to deliver a good line from them. I feel like it was just a good kind of bringing together of the ensemble cast.
Yeah, it was in character, I'll give it that.
Homer's full Jack Nicholson rants of various Jack Nicholson movies is really, really good. Especially to end with Marge just grabbing him going, "Don't tell personal secrets about me again." "Yes, ma'am." What would have been hard but becomes actually kind of anti-hard in retrospect is when Marge is like, "You just don't get it, do you?" And he doesn't. And then he kind of never does, which is what turns it into anti-hard. Let's see. Eat the pudding, 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 eat the pudding.
Excellent vocal warm-up exercise.
Yeah, I gotta remember that one. Just Homer looking at the picture frame and they're like, "Oh, why didn't I take a picture?" That got me. That gets me every time.
It is weird that he had a photo frame with him in the treehouse. Even if he took a photo, why would you have it in the treehouse?
Oh, yeah, because he kind of got kicked out and, I guess.
Bought a photo. I don't know. It's, again, that subversion for a joke that, sure, it doesn't make 100% sense, but I laughed. And that is all my notes. Elliot Jay O'Neill.
Yeah, I only have a couple more notes. That just went on way too long. And, I was excited because, this episode started out with the very abbreviated intro sequence. I'm like, all right.
A lot of episode.
Yeah, but it was making room for a lot of these slow, drawn-out jokes. But, yeah. The obvious joke, again, of the Webster's Dictionary defines wedding as the process of removing weeds. and line deliveries as well. I do like Moe's delivery of declaring my intentions to move in on Homer's territory. Like, I like this outwardly gross Moe that's not like
not this creepy bushes one, the one who's just, it's been long enough, I'm just going to walk in.
Sorry, I was just double checking something online. According to someone who wrote on the Simpsons wiki, apparently this was the first episode to express Moe's feelings towards Marge.
Oh, really?
Oh, interesting. Or Midge.
Yeah. That would make more sense, seeing as he keeps getting a name wrong later.
Yeah. And another well that the Simpsons would draw way too much on.
Draw well past the point of any water being in that well.
All right, now it's the unenviable task of ranking this thing. BT, you're going first.
Well, on my untarnished record of always being right, I'm going to give this a gold.
Wow, really?
The opening is so good, and it does have its problems, but it's one where part of me wants to say that was, part of the Simpsons' effort to be subversive of the sitcom drama, and the fact that it doesn't land now is, product of its time, that kind of thing. And also, I feel like a lot of this episode does a lot to... what's what I want here? Dives for its jokes, basically. So we were discussing while you were out of the room that why does Homer go to the treehouse and not go to Barney's or a motel or something like that? And the idea is it's just funnier. So there's a lot where it is just funnier, even if it doesn't serve the story exactly, which actually kind of makes me want to take it down a little bit.
Yeah, excellent.
You gave the same ranking to Bart the Mother.
Yeah.
Do you want them to have the same ranking?
Oh, what I want is not a part of this podcast. Oh, man, me just saying that then makes me want to drive it down to a silver. Let me sit on this for a little bit. All
right. Diana, what do you reckon?
It has to be a silver. If BT keeps it as a gold, you need to put in the spreadsheet it's fool's gold, because this does not deserve a gold ranking.
Saying that makes me want to make it gold even more.
You can put the first act can be like cubic, and then you progressively get worse and worse, and it sits at like a bronze territory for a bit, and then the final minute, is below that. But no, I think overall it is silver. It is funny. The story isn't good, but you're enjoying yourself while it's happening, I guess.
Yeah, this was a very hard one for me to come to terms with because, I agree. There's at moments where this episode is a cubic, there's at moments where it's an utter failure. So, if there was a way that, if we had 6 people reviewing this, if everyone gave every ranking, I'd be like, that works for me. Let's move on. But look, I think silver is kind of the correct answer because of the strength of some of the jokes, but the weakness of the story. But honestly, a lot of these jokes weren't landing for me this time. And this is a long, drawn-out way of me saying that, I'm going bronze on this one. I just, even though I think silver's the correct answer, for me personally, this just had such a bronzy feel. And you've sat with your gold. You're really sticking with that?
First of all, don't give me that face. I invented that face. No, during my own rambling speech earlier, I managed to talk myself down when I said so many of the jokes work for the purposes of subversion. They tend to end up undermining the actual plot. So I'm moving down to a silver for that.
Well, now you're continuing your streak of always being right, at least.
Yeah.
Again, I've never made a mistake, Elliot. When will you get this right?
I won't, because unlike you, I get things wrong.
Try not doing that in future.
Overall, this will be a dull silver, and no surprises there that there are no other dull silvers in Season 5. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the lowest ranking of the season so far. Again,
I want a big asterisk that says, go watch this one and really, figure it out for yourself. Because if someone said, no, that they reckon this is a cubic, I could understand where they're coming from.
I'm glad this was shit because the seasons around it have clip shows that drag down the rating. And this season needed a bad episode to drag down its rating.
Yeah.
I will not settle until Season 7 is your highest rated season. And if I ever come back, I will help sabotage things to let that happen.
Yeah, earlier I was beginning to suspect you were becoming this podcast's nemesis, and I feel like that's cemented it. Elliot, do we have an enemy now? Well, the show does, I guess.
No, you personally.
It's all you've ever wanted.
But the other episodes in this season that even got silver rankings was a single silver against golds in Bart Gets Famous, and then my silver in Homer Goes to College. But
which that episode's a cubic, so you should feel ashamed. Because I'm trying to think of more mediocre episodes this season. Have you reviewed Lady Bouvier's lover.
Yeah, I think I got a gold.
Kind of pair these two episodes together, and it doesn't help they're the last two episodes of the season.
Yeah.
Like you marathon the season and you end kind of.
Yeah. Now, that got a dull cubic from us. Like, I'm sure we were justified at the time.
Justified.
Was that yeah. Just wait until I do a podcast where I ask if that reputation's justified.
Just about.
Elliot of the Simpsons Index said it was the best episode. It incorporates everything great about Marge's mom, the beloved character.
But yeah, I think the only episodes we got left to review in this season is Marge on the Lam and Lisa versus Malibu Stacy, and they're just fucking stone cold classics. All right, well, look, yeah, that about does us for the Simpsons Index today. Diana, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's not a problem. I'm glad to, not be a one-hit wonder.
No, absolutely. We love having you on, and yeah, we'll bring you back to sabotage us.
Bring me back to ruin an audio drama or a Game of Thrones episode.
Hey, all possible. But if people want to,
seen Game of Thrones, so I can start off in the middle of it, and that's a whole different experience.
I have thought of that before. It's like, can we bring in someone who's like, this is a random episode to them?
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know.
You can, pick a format of watching it worse than me. But until then, if people want to check out more of you on the internet, where can they go?
I have a Twitter, which is GapFreezer, GAPFREEZER. It is a dumb nickname from 2012, and I want to distance myself from what I was like in 2012, so we won't ask what the backstory is. And I have a YouTube channel that just posts me playing Hitman, and apparently Elliot has forced people to watch it, which is good.
There's some really funny clips in there.
You can catch me at some Simpsons trivia when they come back eventually in Brisbane.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the team that's winning. That's how you'll know it's me.
Just throwing gauntlets left and right.
The last time I went to trivia, we came second, and I'm still sad. That was the only time we didn't win, and COVID has ruined my life because I can't take that back.
Your throne. Yeah, that's a real Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Simpsons trivia, yeah.
Yep. And BT, we've got a fair bit to talk about now, don't we?
Oh my, yes. Where to begin? Well, how about the catch-all for everything? We have recently launched a Patreon.
Whew.
That's right. If you like what we do here at the Simpsons Index or over at Thrones of Game or on our new fiction podcast, Pulp Fury Radio, this is a way you can support all those projects at the same time.
Yeah, so go to patreon.com/SideQuestStudios. We've got an exclusive podcast that you can unlock there called Except When He's Not, where I take BT through the episodes of The Simpsons that he missed on The Simpsons Index proper. So
yes, it's all me all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, like you said, it's our catch-all for Thrones of Game, The Simpsons Index, and Pulp Fury Radio now. And yeah, with your support, we're hoping to make Season 2 of Pulp Fury Radio bigger, better, and stronger, and all those Daft Punk lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, to that, we also have Thrones of Game, the Game of Thrones podcast, where we watch the series backwards, where Elliot had never seen the show before, and it's, the only Game of Thrones podcast in town, so what else are you going to do? Not listen to things?
When are you and Jekyll going to make a Twin Peaks podcast where you watch them in any random order and try to put them in some kind of...
Not going to lie, sounds good. If we can come up with a snappy name, and it depends how the Twin Peaks, if we can remix the Twin Peaks theme song.
Yeah, just take random sections and then just put it back together.
Yeah.
No, that's a good idea. I know Jekyll would be all over that.
But you have to record the entire thing backwards talking and then do it backwards.
Yeah, but don't eat the clues.
That's right. That's it.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, yeah, let's get out of here. Thank you so much again, Diana.
Not a problem. I'm getting back to Hitman the second you let me.
And BT, what are you getting back to once I release you from the den?
Oh, well, I have to go to my writers group where they're going to be looking at some of the early examples of new scripts for Pulp Fury Radio Season 2.
Ooh.
Yes.
And I'm going to be editing all night. Well, yeah, that's it from all of us. That's Diana, that's BT. I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. And that's all the mustard in the house.
Eat the pudding, eat the pudding, eat the pudding, eat the pudding, eat the pudding.
Eat the mustard, eat the mustard, eat the mustard.
That's
hard to say.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
You're not having a porto, I hope.
No.
No, we were laughing about it before because the restaurant's called The Honest Chicken. And
Yeah.
that just sounds suspicious.
It's just suspicious, yeah. Nothing going on here, chicken. Not a front for anything chicken.
You didn't say nuttin' chicken.
That I would like.
That should have been the restaurant from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, so we're recording now on all the things. So let's do a little round of the sinking game. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 1,
1,
2,
2,
7.
7.
Ooh,
Sure.
again with a curveball.
Curve number.
You're diabolical.
Well, 7's not really a curvy number, is it?
No. Well, it can be if you draw the stem curvy.
Mm.
Depends on the font you use.
Yeah.
You know?
Typeface.
The Comic Sans version of 7 is probably very curvy.
It's probably wacky. So you can put a little loop in the corner.
Let's talk about the wackiness of this font.
There you go. You got a
Don't
font
tempt me.
index
Yeah.
coming up. You can.
Today, Times New Roman. Where would we be without it?
See, Wingdings 1 was the original, but then
Yeah.
Wingdings 2. It's post classic.
Talk
Yeah.
about the wackiness of Wingdings.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You press the W, you get a filing cabinet. What's going
What's going on here?
Conspiracy theories about 9/11 from it. And I will be playing more Hitman, and I will plug that later because it's a very good game, and I've put thousands of hours of my life into these games.
Yeah.
You should try the games; they're fun.
I just don't have the patience for anything stealth.
You can fuck around a fair amount.
They are
from my
very
understanding.
funny if you fuck around.
Yeah.
Yeah?
There's a solid amount. A lot of fish beatings in this.
A lot of it. There's so much recorded dialogue of all the dumb shit you can do. It's fun to fuck around. I just try to play it properly because I've been playing these games for. I was playing for so long. I was legitimately scared when I played the series for the first time. And the first one I played was the scary horror one that was like very dark and edgy.
Oh,
All
nice.
right.
And like the first mission is a BDSM sex nightclub thing in a slaughterhouse. And I was like 10 and I didn't know what any of that meant.
Yeah,
The
was that-
games aren't usually that, lowbrow, but
Was that Blood Money or?
no, that was Contracts, the one before
Ah,
Blood
right.
Money.
Yeah, so it's the edgy one.
It's a good one. It's edgy. It scared me. It made me feel uncomfortable feelings. So I didn't know why everyone was wearing leather masks and kissing. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely awoken something in a lot of people.
Yeah. And now, I can't get turned on without mutilated dead bodies in a slaughterhouse.
Without a bald man with a barcode on his head in the room.
Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, we don't talk about that movie. That's the best of the 2 Hitman movies. They made 2.
There was a second.
Yeah,
Was it a
entirely
sequel or a
unrelated.
reboot?
No, it's not a sequel. It was
Oh.
another... Because the first one came out in 2007, and the second one came out in 2015, I think.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's
The
right,
first
it
one
did
has
too.
a very transphobic scene, and the second one has nothing memorable. So,
Which
Yeah.
is worse?
All right, we better jump back in.
yeah.